20 seconds later than expected, but we're here. Walky Talky.
Oh, great. Now we're just going to have to restart. We're screwed. 20 seconds late.
I guess we'll try again tomorrow. Thanks everyone for coming out, and over and out. Okay, no. But Sage Thick Cabs is here. Well, everyone who's watching the stream right now knows that because I like had you in the title. But hey, what's up, Sage Thick Cabs?
What's up, dude? It's been a while. You know, I was on here, like, God, I think I don't know. It had to have been like almost a year ago now.
Yeah.
Was it really that long ago? Jesus Christ.
Well, when he was like,
it was whenever I was.
Yeah, it was like whenever Power World was.
Yeah.
Because
you did hop on that like one other time or whatever.
Yeah,
it won't count.
Yeah, that's true.
That one didn't count.
Yeah, the first time I came on, it was when I was working on my could the Akatsuki capture Sukuna video. That's 7 months ago. That's crazy. Time flies.
Dang.
Oh, I realized that was that long ago. I mean, then again, though, like we've been saying that about like every guest.
Yeah.
Like it's hard. It's really hard for us to remember though because we stream too much, to be honest, and because of how many streams we have done, it's like, you know, if it's been 2 months, that's still probably, I don't know, 20 streams later. And once you get past that point, you don't remember anymore.
Yeah. No, it's good to be back on though. I'm excited. I know I overheard you guys talking about whether or not we were going to talk about Boruto or 6 debate thing, or I think somebody said JJK. Maybe I'm tripping.
Yeah, so
all of it.
I don't know what order, but recent stuff. Yeah, you did a 6 debate thingy.
Yeah,
tell us about it.
Okay.
Bro, so it was cool. The are you talking about like the big debate tournament for the Sparking Zero thing? Yeah, so that was it was cool, man. I mean, the way that like came about for me was everybody was beefing with King Lion for a minute about the Naruto planetary stuff. And everyone included me. And so when he replied to me on one of the TikToks that I had made and like was super disingenuous, like deleted one of my arguments from it, like completely ignored it, made a huge straw man. So I just like sent it to 6 because he and I had like connected prior. Can't even remember what it was, but like we had each other on Discord, and then so I sent that over to him, and then we got to chatting about the expansive True Seeker orb and whether or not it's like because he said something about like, oh, do you think like Naruto would have been able to tank the explosion from it? And I was like, well, I don't think it was going to explode. I think it's going to like continue to expand outward until it just destroys the dimension. It's the expansive True Seeker orb, you know? And he was like, oh, I'd never thought about that. That actually, like, low-key, you're spitting. By the way, I have this debate tournament going on in October if you want to help judge it. So it was, like, kind of a weird happenstance kind of thing. But the debate tournament itself was really cool. It was dope to be in the presence of the GOAT. Swag tuned in, you know. And I will say, like, as a content creator, one of the things that I interact with a lot is, you know, are people who do have good arguments and know how to like debate and articulate their points. And these guys that were in the tournament were not content creators. They're very obviously like not in the space like that.
Really?
So there were a few of them that were, there were a few that were tough to listen to. But for the most part, everybody did a good job, and you know it was fun. I'm looking forward to I think instead of like a tournament, 6 is going to do a similar event with content creators, but it's going to be more like a UFC fight card where you have like a main event. You've got, you know, kind of like a bunch of other events, but it's like instead of a tournament, it's just like 1v1 matches for like an hour. So I'll be participating in that, but I'm looking forward to that whenever that happens.
Yeah, real quick.
Because we were debating on well, we were thinking of a tournament style, but we had like a brilliant master plan to say the least.
Yeah, so I thought the 6 tournament was interesting, and everyone did a great job. Very clearly not YouTubers. Me and Kamui did react to the finale debate, which was Minato versus Hashirama. So I guess I'll just ask you what you thought about that before I go into it.
I'll preface this by saying,
Yeah.
both of the guys had already been through multiple debates. They were already exhausted going into it, so like
That
neither of
explains it.
them were at their peak powers.
Yeah.
That being said, uh, I I almost like no, I should say that. No, I feel like I feel like with a little bit of time in a solid Discord server with like people who know how to make argumentation and know debate structure. Like a lot of the time, one of the things that I saw not only in that particular debate but in almost all of them was people didn't have a solid understanding of burdens. Like
Yeah.
of when like if you make a claim, you must then substantiate that claim. If somebody else offers an equal possibility, then it's on you to provide likelihood for your you know what I mean? Like people don't
Mhm.
understand debate structure if you haven't been like in that space. So yeah, I mean, I think for people who don't really debate, they did a good job. Um, I am looking forward to seeing how Gold does in the like debater tournament because that was like the secret prize, right? Like he gets Sparking Zero, but he also gets to compete in the content creator tournament,
Mhm.
or content creator event or whatever. So I'm interested to see how he does against a content creator. I'm interested to see what content creator they put up against him. Um, Overall, I'm excited to see what kind of tomfoolery Six gets up to when creating these matchups, because we know like there are certain content creators who have spoken or unspoken beef with other content creators, whether it's like on a personal level or just with like takes. So I think that's going to be interesting. But in terms of that final round, I just like, as somebody who's interested in both Minato and Hashirama's scaling and someone who knows the arguments for them, it was a little painful to listen to. But if you if they had never debated before, which they hadn't, then they did a good job.
I don't know. I thought that
Yeah, I think
Sage
it'd be.
Mode precog point was pretty solid.
Yeah, we were laughing.
Yeah.
There's a few
Well,
things where we were just like, no, we don't agree with that.
yeah. Also, I'm doing a collab with Restless Gambler soon, where we're talking about, I think it's like a Sakuna in like Obito slash Kurama's place during like the Ninetales attack versus Minato. And like the point of the video is just to glaze Minato. I'm not gonna lie to you. But for that video, I think about win conditions a lot and like how people's abilities work. And one of the things that I kind of cooked up recently that I might put it in a short like tomorrow, but it's definitely going in that video, is like, okay, so you know how when Minato teleports away the Ten Tails Bijou Bomb, right? Like he teleports it away, and then the way that the FTG teleportation works is like moving into a subspace and then exiting the subspace at that point that you're going to. So whenever he goes into the subspace with the Ten Tails Bijou Bomb, he then exits the subspace without it. He then runs to the battlefield, throws his kunai, enters the subspace again, and then exits the subspace again. And then he says, brace for impact, and then the Bijou Bomb lands, meaning that's when the Bijou Bomb finally exited the subspace. Okay. So what that shows us is that he has the ability to at least augment the speed at which, or the time at which, it takes for something or someone to pass through the subspace, which would then indicate that if he can touch somebody, he can move them into the subspace and potentially leave them there indefinitely. Or alternatively, he can move them into the subspace and then exit the subspace without them, charge up the gnarliest Rasengan he's ever produced, and then just hold it at the point of the seal where they're going to exit. And as soon as they pop out, they just get decimated. I was like, the whole time I was listening to that debate, I was like, dude, because I was one of the 5 judges of that, and like he got that phone a friend thing. I was like, he's not gonna phone me, but he absolutely should, because like what the fuck is this guy gonna say to this if I say he could move him into the subspace and drop him there? Like neither of them had good argumentation really, so like it would have been over like right there. But it was interesting listening to it. But I'm looking forward to the next one and seeing like some better argumentation and understanding of burdens.
Yeah, I think regardless of professionalism in a debate tournament, I think it'd be really fun to host my own debate tournament where I just sort of do goofy, crazy, wacky, zany, off the wall kind of rules. Just have a bunch of people sign up, just go for it, you know. So
Oh, I
I'll
love
see
it.
about doing that at some point. But on your Minato point, that's interesting. I think there might be some other interpretations, such as I think it's Kakashi who says warping larger objects into Kamui takes more chakra. So
Mhm.
based on that, you could sort of maybe conceptually apply a similar principle to where Minato doesn't have control of the speed of objects in a subspace, but like maybe the larger or heavier or denser the object it is, the slower it may move in the subspace, and he doesn't have
Yeah,
control over it.
so here is the problem with that, because I would initially agree with that, but the problem is whether Minato's in KCM or not, his FTG seems to work the same speed, and he would like even whenever he's in the Kurama avatar, so the increase in chakra and the increase in size don't seem to affect him. He has to build up chakra in order to teleport Kurama, but the teleportation of Kurama also appears to happen instantaneously, and there's no delay. The only instance that we get of an actual delay, and then like teleporting the entirety of the Shinobi Alliance that was out there, like in the barrier, right? Like that happens instantaneously, and most of them don't even know what happened. So like he's able to teleport away like just this enormous amount of soldiers outside of this barrier. So we have multiple cases of him teleporting large masses of chakra or even large bodies of individuals, or like the Nine Tails, for example, and it not affecting the speed of transmission. But with the Ten Tails Bijou Bomb, he's able, and this is interesting too, he's able to not only move it into the subspace, he's then able to exit the subspace without it, right? So it's still in the subspace. Then he's then he's able to go back into the subspace because he from like that marking, he then like runs to the battlefield, he throws his kunai because we see the kunai stick into the ground, and then he teleports to that. So he enters the subspace with the Ten Tails Bijou Bomb, exits the subspace, runs, throws the kunai, then enters the subspace again, and then exits the subspace again, and then says a full sentence, and then the Ten Tails Bijou Bomb exits. So I think like the fact that we don't get, so we have like an argument for ignorance is very close to evidence of absence, but I think because we have evidence that this slows down in this particular instance, and he's able to re-enter the subspace without any side effects, and then we have other instances where even like a whole nine tails worth of chakra doesn't actually affect the speed of transmission. I think it's far more likely that he's able to augment the speed of transmission of a particular object, as opposed to the chakra volume itself actually affecting the speed. Because if that's the case, then you would expect to see that something like the Nine Tails would like take longer to pass through the subspace. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. Kamui,
I will
thoughts?
say, um, I don't know for sure if he uses the same jutsu with the Ten Tails Bijou Bomb as he does with the Nine Tails Bijou Bomb and the Nine Tails attack with Obito.
Yeah, no,
But
it's definitely not, because we don't see the crack in space. I'm talking about like whenever he teleports the full nine tails all together, because he teleport
yeah,
like whenever he drops Gamabunta on him. So not only does he summon this gigantic creature, which like takes a lot of chakra to begin with, he then says it's going to take a lot of chakra for me to teleport
yeah,
this like the nine tails, and he teleports the nine tails plus the Bijou Bomb the nine tails was charging up. So it's like and that's he does it with his standard FTG. Like it's not guiding thunder.
yeah. I was gonna
So
say because Guiding
yeah,
Thunder is a different thing.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. So that would imply that he can potentially, or I would say likely, augment the time it takes for something to pass through the subspace. Which I don't want to go into like no limits fallacy territory, and say he can just leave them in there indefinitely. While that is a possibility, I think that you could easily argue he can slow down the time that it takes for them to run through there, and then like exit before them, charge up an attack, and then plant an attack on them as soon as they come out.
Yeah,
Like
I'm
there's
not
really
sure that
not
he can do
anything
that with
else.
the regular Flying Regime, but with the Guiding Thunder one,
Well,
perhaps, yeah.
he uses the regular flying Raijin on the Ten Tails Bijou Bomb.
Yeah, which doesn't make any sense.
Like he probably just like ran up to it and touched it. Because have you guys looked at the Naruto website birthday profiles?
I have, but not like
I'm not
too
sure
in
off the top
depth.
of my head.
But I need to
Yeah,
like,
so
go back and look,
I have, if you guys go to I think you guys have the Jonin role in my server. If you do, you should have access to the
Am I in your
resources
the
server?
page.
resources. Yeah, no, I was looking at
Yeah,
it earlier.
and if you
Yeah, I'm
do,
pulling it up right now.
yeah, I'll bet.
Can
So
you send me a link to
the
your server?
birthday,
Because I don't think I'm in it, to be honest.
yeah, I got you, big dog. The Naruto website birthday profiles
Yeah.
are in there, and like all of them, I've got like a Google Drive link on there.
Yeah.
And the one for Minato, there's like 3 of them for Minato, but one of them it's like particularly for the war arc. It says that he arrives to the battlefield utilizing his skill with the teleportation jutsu is the Viz translation. It's body flicker or shunshin. So I'm sure you guys are aware there's been a big debate in the community for a while of like whether or not he uses body flicker or FTG to get to the battlefield. But consistently throughout the Naruto website birthday profiles, they differentiate both in the English translation and in the Japanese. They differentiate between the body flicker and flying Raijin. And like whenever they call flying Raijin teleportation jutsu, it actually the kanji translates to spatio-temporal jutsu as opposed to like the shunshin body flicker. So like whenever they talk about like Shisui using the body flicker, teleportation jutsu is the Viz translation, but it's shunshin. So they differentiate between those two things, which means that he ran to the battlefield, like physically using body flicker, which is probably like when he arrived to teleport away the Bijou bomb. He touched the Bijou bomb because, like, remember, B or like Gyuki is like holding the Bijou bomb, right? Like he gets hit by it, it doesn't detonate, and he's like holding it. So Minato ran up to it, touched it, moved it into the subspace, exited the subspace, ran back to the battlefield, threw his kunai, entered the subspace again, exited the subspace again, and then let the Bijou bomb exit the subspace to detonate. Like it's absolutely insane. I think so. Oodie, I think that one is the Warwick one. There's here, let me or not the Warwick one. That's the like Kanami Bridge one. It's the
Yeah.
one that goes over the war. It should be the 3rd one, I think. I have it on my phone as well. Birthday columns. The goat.
How do you get to the birthday
column
column thing in your server?
It's
They
at
call them
the
for
very
go
bottom,
to
that
did you join my server?
Yeah, I just joined.
Okay, I need to give you perms.
I think it's the 3rd one.
It's the 4th one. Yeah,
It's the 4th one.
and I've got the Japanese in there as well.
Yep.
So you can look at it's really interesting. They differentiate. They call body flicker teleportation jutsu, and they call flying Raijin, and the kanji is different every time. So
Yeah.
that means that he must have ran to the battlefield, grabbed the Bijou bomb physically, teleported away, ran back through the kunai, teleported to it, which is why when Tobirama says your Shunshin is better than mine, he is referring to body flicker. He's referring to him getting to the battlefield first.
Yep.
Hold on, let me
As it always was.
server settings. Yeah, people have debated it because they've been like, oh well, he like calls body flicker FTG and vice versa. But that just like kind of confirms that there is sorry, I'm trying to give you perms. That just confirms that he's talking about the body flicker and not FTG. Okay, you should have perms to go over there, Kamui.
Yeah.
Real quick, as far as just to offer another possible interpretation with Minato saying like brace for impending explosion, and you know how there's like the delay and all that.
Mhm.
If I'm looking at the monk at least, so you see in the end of chapter 630, the Bijou bombs teleported away, Minato arrives, and then in the next page, beginning of chapter 631, the Biju bomb hits the water. Like you see a kunai and then the Biju bomb there hitting the water. And then he says, brace for an impending explosion. And then you see the explosion there. You could argue that delay is just the time it took for the water that the Biju bomb hits to reach the land. Because it's already teleported to the water it hit it. So it's not like he teleported to the water, then teleported it back to the land. So you could argue it's just a delay on that aspect.
So
kind of like how sound takes a
so
little
what
bit
we
to travel.
Right. So what we see here though is like the Bijou bomb detonates, like that just consistently they detonate. And so we know that's probably what happens here. But we see the kunai on like so first page 631, that top left panel. You can see the kunai on the rock. Like we get we get like a shot of it up close as well. And then the Bijou bomb not in frame. And then the Bijou bomb appears in frame, and you get like the kanji that we get whenever we see FTG. And then he says, "My name is Minato Namikaze, brace for an impending explosion," and then we get the explosion, right? But prior to that, at the end of chapter 630, so again, we know in 630, right? Oh goodness gracious. We know in 630, like Gyuki like gets hit with the Bijou bomb, he's like stalling it, right? And then suddenly it disappears, and everybody's like, "What? It vanished." And then Minato arrives.
Minato talks to Naruto,
yeah, Minato says, "Am I late?" He says, "Nope, right on time, Paul." And during this time, the Bijou bomb still has not landed.
Yeah,
so
that's what I was gonna say is the counter to this, because you could argue just manga not making sense, but the Biju bomb isn't there until after Sakura says "who" in response to Minato, and that is some level of time.
Yeah, so what that would mean is that like Minato can move something into the subspace, exit the subspace, and at bare minimum complete multiple combat applicable actions, like with body flicker, throwing the kunai, teleporting again, and then completing like a whole sentence before the thing he moved into the subspace is allowed to exit. So like what I say with this argument is there's a possibility, unless like we can substantiate a reason for him not being able to keep something in there indefinitely, you could argue that he can just leave somebody in the FTG subspace indefinitely, and if they don't have FTG, they're just screwed. Or you could say that he can only slow down the time it takes for them to pass through, but eventually they'll exit. And if that's the case, and we know he can exit first, then what that allows for is for him to exit and then charge up either like a Sage Mode Rasengan, or like plant a seal of some kind, or just like put his hand right where they're going to appear, and then as soon as they come out, he's able to touch them like with a seal and seal them away. Like it opens up his arsenal a million different ways. The argument against it would be, well, would he do that in character? It's like, I don't know. Can we name a time when it would have been actually beneficial for him to do that? Because like, so say for example, he does that with Jubito. Moving a Ten Tails Bijou bomb in there is one thing, because like you could argue that like the detonation wouldn't go off because it's said to be beyond time and space, right? So if that's the case, then maybe like there's some level of time dilation that just like prevents it from detonating. But we know that he can move in the subspace because he can reposition his body before he exits the subspace. So it's possible that somebody like Jubito might be able to as well. So the next time he enters the subspace, he might just get like clipped. You know what I mean? Same thing with basically anybody else he had fought. Same thing with the Nine Tails. Like leaving the Nine Tails in the subspace wouldn't really benefit him. So it's like, would he do it in character? We don't really know. But we do know that mechanically, from what we've seen, like how this ability works and how it's described, this is something he might like should probably be able to do at bare minimum.
Yeah. I have a goofy counter that you're going to hate against this. So, assuming that we're debating with standard battle assumptions, you would argue this would be a BFR, right?
Right.
So,
yes,
I would argue that the character has not left the battlefield. They're still in this battlefield's subspace.
Well, do you think, okay, so that's interesting. I like that. So then Minato wins once that person eventually starves to death.
assuming that the subspace is beyond time.
Even Hidan will fall prey to that one.
Yeah, exactly. Well, okay, so let's say that let's just assume that the reason why the Shinobi Alliance didn't know what happened is just because they were moved through the subspace so fast that they couldn't react to it, and not that, they're put in like a state of stasis or something while they're in there. Then what that would mean is that, or actually, you know what, let's infer the opposite, because like if they're put in a state of like timelessness to where like hunger and stuff doesn't affect them, you could just call that incapacitation. Or you could just say like the further conclusion of this ability, with him being able to like exit the subspace before them. We know that he knows where they're being sent, so he can wait at that marker, charge up a Sage Mode Rasengan, hold his hand out over the marker, and when they exit, they immediately like teleport into it. You know what I mean? Like there's a bunch of different things he can do with it, like whether it be sealing, whether it be that, like the Sage Mode Rasengan. He doesn't just have to leave them in there, but he might be able to do that.
Yeah. Real quick, because you just said something pretty interesting. So Minato's Rasengan, specifically Minato's Big Bar Rasengan. So how much AP do you think that has? Could that just take, like, what's the upper limit of who that could take out in the Naruto series? Naruto gets a
I already know.
clear
Don't
hit.
worry. I already know the follow-up questions for this too. Don't you worry.
Yeah. So it depends. I think so. Let's establish a couple things here. So number one, Minato's Rasengan is just consistently drawn larger than anybody else's.
Mhm.
Like he always has a fucking big ball Rasengan.
Yeah.
So like whenever he used it against Obito, during the Ninetales attack, whenever he like charges one up against Black Zetsu, when he and Kakashi are fighting against him, his Rasengan is always drawn just like really big. So I would say that he's probably putting more chakra into it than basically anybody else aside from Naruto, just in his standard state. Because remember, Jiraiya said it took him 3 years to master the jutsu, not 3 years to develop the jutsu. We know it took him like a couple days to develop it at max, just based on the Minato guide and one shot, right? So he developed it further from that point. Now, who does it damage? It damages Obito while covered in white Zetsu, like a shell of white Zetsu.
Thank you.
Pretty impressive.
Yeah.
This is like an 18-year-old Obito, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, okay, perfect. Wait, say that again, just for Kamui, just so he can hear you say it.
Oh, no. This is perfect. Real quick detour. Okay, because Oodie has mentioned this 50,000 times
Literally
to me.
a single time last night, by the way, just once.
But he's mentioned it 50,000 times in total of his career of life. So, no, feel free to correct this if this is wrong. From what I understand from Oodie, you had some sort of evidence to suggest that Obito is like 4 or 5 years, however many years older than Kakashi.
1 second. My dogs are barking. 1 second.
That he precogged his dog barking.
Okay, like we should be good. Okay, so the okay, so here's where we're at. Depending on, so here's the problem that we run into, right? Kakashi is, let's go over what the data books say. The data
they're
books
the
say,
same age.
Right, the data books say in data book 4 only that they're the same age during the war arc. But it also says, or the data books also tell us, that they graduated at 5 and 9 years old, right? The data books also tell us that Kakashi became a chunin at 6 and Obito became a chunin at 11. The data books also tell us that let's leave that part out. Like, so that's what we have. So we have, they're stated to be the same age in data book 4, but they're also stated to have graduated at 4 years apart in terms of their graduation ages, and their chunin ages don't align either. We have 6 and 11. But then we see in the manga, we see that not only is Kakashi's chunin age reinstated in the manga and the fan books and the anime, like, and the other data books, right? 6 years old chunin. That's stated in the manga canon and in the data books.
Yeah, 11 jonin is 5 genin, 6 chunin, 11 jonin.
Well, so he's never stated to be a jonin in 11. That's kind of a common misconception, but
Is that
Um,
anime only then?
it's 12 in the anime is when in Boruto, he says he was already a Jonin by 12. He doesn't say he became a Jonin at 12, he says he was already one. So, but so if the manga says he was a Chunin at 6, then we have to hold true to that, right? Because that's consistent in the manga and everything else. But the manga also shows us that they participated in the Chunin exams together when Kakashi was promoted. So if that's the case, how in the world, if they are the same age, how in the world could they graduate at 5 and 9 and then participate in the tuning exams together? Because that would mean that that 3 years prior to Obito graduating the academy, he participated in the tuning exams. We also see in the manga that they joined Team Minato together. We know this because they go through introductions before Obito gets there because he's running late. So we know that they graduate together, or we know that they enlist in the academy together, actually. That's in the manga. They graduate together, they join Team Minato together, and they take the tuning exams together. Kakashi's tuning age is 6. So it is impossible for all of that to work out unless they're 4 years apart.
Or if this is going to be a goofy possibility, but if they just let Kakashi participate in the tuning exams as a tuning to fill out Team Minato's roster.
So the problem is he gets promoted to tuning in those tuning exams. So we see
Do they
him
show him
the
actually getting the promotion during the exam flashback in the manga?
Yes, they do.
When?
Yeah, it's 5.99, I believe.
Okay, because I was just looking at that. I don't remember.
Yeah, they show him holding up the thing that says tuning.
Oh my
And
god,
like a
dude!
celebration.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. But here's
Yes.
another thing that doesn't make sense though. Kakashi's appearance is clearly the same age as everyone else. How can he just be 6 years younger than everyone? Like,
well, I don't think he's 6 years. So this is how I rationalize it, right? So Kishimoto doesn't always draw people to their age. Like Yagura is a prime example of this. You could say he's an outlier because like he's consistently like depicted in the story as being younger than or being older than what he looks. But whenever we get that shot from Kanabi Bridge, the I think it's the 241 cover. When Obito and Kakashi are back to back, Kakashi's consistently drawn shorter than Obito. That's not 241, 240, 243. Kakashi's drawn shorter than him there. Then in that same chapter, on page 4, Kakashi's drawn shorter than him there. So he's consistently drawn shorter than Obito. So like you could just say that that's Kishimoto's way of conveying the difference in their age, is that he's just drawn a little bit shorter than Obito. Also remember, Obito is paralleling Naruto, right? Naruto, while being the same age as everybody in his class, was considered kind of a runt. He was shorter than everybody else, including Sakura. So like if Obito is paralleling that, it makes sense for him to be a similar height to Rin, which is what we see, and Kakashi be a little bit shorter. So
well, I'm going to give you a goofy, very goofy, that's probably very easy to debunk argument, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Okay.
If Obito is meant to parallel Naruto, do you remember that Naruto, despite being younger than Sasuke in the manga, somehow managed to take the academy exams 3 more times than everyone else?
Yeah. So here's what I'll say. So the academy graduation test was performing some kind of jutsu. It seems like it's random because like Naruto didn't really know what was coming whenever he was like, and the graduation exam will be, and then he like announces it. So it's the graduation exam seems to be like just showcasing a mastery over some like low level ninja technique in order to like pass. So what that tells me is that Naruto could have just pestered Iruka to allow him to like take a graduation exam in order to allow him to pass. Also, keep in mind, he's been orphaned his whole life, so it makes sense for him to have enrolled in the academy earlier than everybody else.
Yeah.
And have been in the academy longer. So like for him to have like Iruka allowed him to take the graduation exam just kind of out of pity kind of makes sense for both of their characters if he's pestering Iruka and Iruka's like, fine, whatever, Naruto. So I don't think like that the because then we get in the Itachi novels, Itachi's like, because of peacetime, Sasuke won't graduate until he's 12, no matter how talented he is. So what that means is that like you can graduate early, you can take the graduation early, which is what happens with both Kakashi and Itachi. But like
Yeah.
because they're not in wartime, that there was no motivation for them to do that. So it's like Naruto can try, but he's not going to pass. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree, and that's my interpretation as well. The funny thing about this is, hypothetically, if Naruto just did pass on his first time, with this interpretation, you're having a 3-year-old Jinchuriki slamming people around on the
Yeah.
battlefield.
Yeah, yeah. Well, so the with the I see Da commented, ask Sage when we'll get more Kakashi content. Very soon. I'm doing a Kakashi versus Hashirama video at some point here pretty soon. Because people need to understand how much of a dog Hokage Kakashi is. But the stated to be the strongest teacher, by the way. But the thing with like the Obito Kakashi age conundrum is like the timeline, you have to mangle the manga, like what we get in the manga, in order to like say that they're the same age. Because you would have to say either they allowed him to take the test again and be promoted to Chunin again, which doesn't like really make any sense contextually in the story. Um, or you'd have to say that the manga's just wrong about Kakashi's, Chunin promotion age. Or you'd have to say they're the same age and they graduated at the same age and got promoted, or like took the Chunin exams at the same age. Excuse me. Which also doesn't really make any sense whenever you consider the fact that Kakashi is called the youngest graduate ever by Itachi. If he's the youngest graduate ever, and like Obito is narratively kind of this like dunce, it doesn't make sense for them both to have graduated at 5. And then we also get in Kakashi's Naruto website birthday profile that just came out on the 19th of September, that it reinforces the idea that he's the youngest graduate ever at 5, got promoted to a Chunin at 6, and then a few years later, a few typically being between 3 and 5, got promoted to Jonin. So what that means is that at Kanami Bridge, Kakashi is probably around 10 years old and Obito is around 13 years old. So everything lines up aside from the data book 4 age. And it also, like, I mean, come on. Does it make more sense for Obito to be 18 or 14 there? You know what I mean? Like, for him to be built the way he is, for him to be like
Oh,
moving the
his
way he is, all
voice.
that stuff.
His
Yeah,
voice is
exactly,
so
exactly.
deep.
So this is you'll see on there, I think it's just under here. It talks about like his promise as a shinobi was showcased from like a young age, being promoted to Chunin at 6 and becoming a Chunin or a Jonin a few years later. Like it's just consistent for Kakashi to be closer to 10 years old at Kanabi Bridge. And so what I always say is that, and I'm not sure if I confirmed this with their actual like listed birthdays, but I think their birthdays are like 6 months apart or something like that, which would mean that Obito can be like 3.5 years older than him. And so Kakashi can be 10 at Kanabi Bridge while Obito is 13. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't remember where I heard it was probably in the anime that he was 11 then, but I don't remember off the top of my head.
Oh, but you're so
Um,
confident that I'm wrong when I claim that Sage Thick is right.
I
I don't
know
trust you.
I know in the Boruto anime, because this is something that people have pointed me to as well. Like in the Boruto anime, it talks about how he was already a Jonin by 12, and people are like,
I
see,
think
he
he
was
says in
promoted to
the
Jonin
anime
at
to
12.
Aruka too, where he was like, I was already a Jonin by Naruto's age or whatever.
No, he said I became a Chunin when I was 6 years Naruto's junior.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't remember where the Jonin thing came from then. I'm pretty sure it's the Naruto anime though that I'm thinking of, but I have to find that some other time.
Yeah.
Well, with that being said, I think it's very interesting how you can get Kakashi's age right, but you can't get the time between the 5 Kage Summit and the War Arc right. What's up with that, Sage of Thick Calves?
How long do you think passes between the 5 Kage Summit and the War Arc, bro?
So this was something I heard from Blanco. There's no way. he said that you think there's like 2 days between the start of the war and the 5 Kage Summit arc.
No, so we have it's about 3 days. The reason for this is because right after the events of the 5 Kage Summit is whenever Obito declares war and the Raikage like calls the summit like right afterwards, and we don't get an indication of a change in day. And then he says like we're going to meet at such and such place in 3 days for like the. Or I'm sorry. So we had the 5 Kage Summit. He calls the summit. After the summit, there's the declaration of war, and then he says like we're going to like the Shinobi Alliance is going to meet such and such place in 3 days. So it's about 3 days. Maybe you could say 4 to give like an extra buffer day. But yeah, basically the reason why Blanco and I got on that topic of conversation is because I was talking about how like Kakashi got a lot stronger due to like the release of mental nerfs. Like he had mental debuffs on him basically his whole life. And after his conversation with his father during the pain arc, he probably had one of those removed. And then he has like a few months. It's like 2-ish months of training, probably. You could argue 3 and like maybe even 4, but it's really closer to like 2.5 months between the pain arc and the 5 Kage Summit. And in that time, he's definitely training, but he goes like from being sub 5 Kage Summit Sasuke level during the 5 Kage Summit to like being able to compete with him, which by the way, the Naruto birthday website column for him also talks about how he and Sasuke unleashed jutsu at one another, which means that they did fight each other with ninjutsu whenever we cut away from that scene. Just by the way. So
it's a shame they didn't show it.
Yeah, so because the only jutsu that we actually see Kakashi use against him is Kamui, and he uses it defensively. He doesn't launch it at Sasuke, right? So like the implication is that they attacked one another, and if they attacked one another with their ninjutsu, it can only have happened off screen because we don't see that happen on screen. Which is, yeah, so it's just a good implication for him. But we see him being like sub 5 Kage Summit Sasuke level at that point in time. And then like 4 days later, maximum, he's over here like boxing up level 2 Jinchuriki, like 4 of them by himself. It's like, okay, hold on. So he can move on panel with 6th Gate Guy using the Raikiri. He can box up 4 of the level 2 Bijou by himself. The same level 2 Bijou that were juggling KCM1 Naruto when he needed to get help from B to like help him fight them off. Like, so he goes from sub 5 Kage Summit Sasuke level to like above or at least relative to KCM Naruto. That's weird. 4 days. So yeah, so the whole reason we got on the topic was I was like, I think he's probably that strong, as strong as he is the beginning of the war arc. I think he's probably that strong during the 5 Kage Summit. But there's a data book statement in data book 4 that talks about how in the encounter with Sasuke, like the darkness started to cover him once again. So it's like very clearly implying like some sort of mental nerf. He then references, oh, I know how the third felt, things like that. So that's how we got on that topic of conversation. He goes, no, it was at least 2 weeks between the 5 Kage Summit and the war arc. And I was like, no, we literally get a direct statement from A saying like, we're going to be there in 3 days. So it's probably about 4 days. It's a long-winded way to say that.
So what about the fact that Naruto is on the boat for several weeks?
So that's only in the anime. He's definitely not on the boat for it says several weeks that he's on the boat.
Yeah, the reason it takes so long is because the reason they're going by boat in the first place is basically to keep out of Obito's not vision, but like whatever, so he just doesn't know. Like they're going as secretly and out of the way as possible. Which is why they're going by the boat in the first place.
B5. Is that whenever they leave, or is that while they're on the boat? Because I'm gonna go find that. Because I know that the A statement.
Yeah, I'm trying to look through all this stuff too to see.
It's like early 5s or late 4s, maybe.
I have no idea when it is.
Because they get there in like the 5:30s.
It's got a speech. It's probably gonna be down here. Maybe even like late 400s. No, 500 is the birth of Naruto.
Yeah, that's kind of if it's when they embark on it, then it would be then.
Yeah. So probably like 480s. Is my guess.
All right, I'm in 481. Well, 481 is the death of Donzo. 482.
Go 490.
Yeah.
Around here.
Because this is the encounter with Sasuke at the end of 480.
Where does the Raikage say the 3 days thing? I'm trying to find that in the 5 Kage Summit. I'm in Killer B versus Kisame.
They say it takes 3 days to get to where they're going.
But when does he say,
I got it.
let's meet here?
It's at the end of 490. Here, I'll send you a screenshot.
Oh, they say it that much later. Oh, geez. Okay. I was gonna be sifted through this for a while.
Here, I put it in chat for you. Okay. But you just go find it, obviously.
Yeah, I shall convene an allied summit. Yeah, for 3 days time. So it's like, okay, Naruto's not on the boat yet.
Yeah, so I'm gonna skip through all this. So the Danzo fight happens here. Gaara's talking to Naruto. We're gonna get to the end of the Danzo fight. Yeah. Kakashi's gonna show up and all that. Then Naruto shows up. So we got to see right before then what they do. Do they indicate any change in time?
Okay, he's already on
cutting to Kabuto. It makes this tricky.
So where do they talk?
Okay, so they're talking to in 48. They're talking to the feudal lords and stuff. And they're still, I guess they just found Kiba and them after Sakura put them asleep.
Yep.
And then talking to the daimyos. Still here.
That's why I'm saying it's probably about 4
then they get
days
home
because
that's the tricky part.
Yeah.
Okay, so get home for the mission. So you have to let's just be generous and say it took them a day to get back home for a second. It wouldn't have been too long because it didn't take them that long to get there in the first place. So Naruto gets home, then they just meet. I can't imagine that's any.
There, yeah.
Tsunade wakes up, and then they say 490 or 89. Okay, then Naruto goes to the Toad. Let's just say that's an extra day when Naruto goes to the Toad for a second. Just try to be generous. Kabuto shows up.
Well, he can be summoned there.
Yeah, but no, it's just gonna say. Let's just say it's the next day that he gets summoned. I'm trying to be just generous as possible.
Got you. Yeah, no, I got you. I was gonna say it does say that it takes 30 days on foot, so
yeah. And then doing all this. Okay. I shall convene an allied summit in 3 days.
Fukasaku does that just say I
maybe
reverse
5 days before that between the summit and the next summit, which see when that happens.
Like at
they're literally just right there in the next chapter. Okay, and Naruto's still. Ooh, wait a minute. Was that a flashback then? Because Naruto was still in. But did he just stay in the Toad's place for 3 days? For some reason, what?
He gets the key, and then he gets the information, and blah blah blah. Yeah,
he's talking to Gamamaru, and then Raikage says in 3 days. He's still in the room with Gamamaru, and then we see he gets summoned back, and then the Raikage. That has to just be a time jump, okay? Because then he gets summoned back, and then the Raikage is meeting with everyone. So I guess they just do a 3-day time jump there.
So the Raikage does say you all came quick. So that would sort of imply that they get there in shorter than
even faster.
Oh no, actually, I'm tripping. The page before that it says 3 days since the Raikage's summons. This is
okay.
Chapter 491. Yep.
I have a funny interpretation.
Okay, so that's 3 days later.
So Kamui, I'm gonna reference something that you'll understand. So you remember the last time or second to last time King of Chaos was on, and at the end he's like, all right, Oodie, tomorrow let's schedule for the next stream. And I thought he meant to do the next stream tomorrow, but he meant tomorrow is when we should schedule for whenever the next stream is going What if the Raikage's doing that? Yeah, in 3 days, that's when we'll schedule the next meeting.
Well, here's what's interesting, though. So in this meeting, like Tsunade's there and all that, and he's talking about where they're gonna send Naruto, and the next panel is just them they're getting on the boat. So I feel like the Raikage,
and then like right after that, they're on Turtle Island.
already organized that in advance because Yamato and them aren't there listening to him. So it's kind of like happening concurrently. Because I think they're still meeting.
Yeah, it could have been just immediately after. Yeah, because you have to think like where his brain is at. Like we get statements that he doesn't ever let B leave the village. Yo, what up, Rapid Cougar 3? He doesn't let B leave the village. So it's like he probably already has these sort of like safeguard locations in mind for like if he ever needs to put him somewhere so that he's not gonna like be getting in trouble, this can be a place.
Okay.
The other thing is, like, hypothetically, if Naruto was on the boat for several weeks, does that mean that Tsunade was just like in the Raikage's like meeting office for like several weeks away from the village?
I mean, she's a notorious
so
gambler.
here's
She's
my
probably just getting
question:
drunk for a
where
month.
does it say that it took? Yeah, like
That's what I'm trying to
question is
find.
where does it say? Yeah, I'm not seeing it on here.
Yeah, I don't know
So
what it would
let's
say.
see. Got the space. Blah blah blah.
That's why I said I thought it must be anime because like I watched this anime arc once, but I've read through these chapters quite a few times and I don't remember it.
Yeah, I haven't read it through the manga. I've only watched the anime. And the anime, it definitely takes them a long time, but
Yeah, well, I know we see it
Yeah.
in the anime. We obviously don't see it in the manga, but I'm assuming they said several weeks at some point in the manga.
well, okay. Well, I'm looking. We'll
Well,
see.
I
Be
do have.
careful of scrolling past the sexy jutsu on there, by the way.
I do have another thing for you on the same topic, Sage. So, in Data Book
What up?
3, Might Guy is
Yeah, they don't
however
say
many
this was weeks.
years old, and Might Guy's birthday is January 1st. In Data Book 4, he is the next year old, implying the pain arc had to have happened before January 1st. And you know that October 10th is the war. So at least 10 months had to have passed between the pain arc and the start of the war.
So here's what I say with that. So Kishimoto doesn't write these himself. And we know that there are other like date errors, particularly in the fourth data book. So like we already can identify that. Right. We already know that like the Obito thing is an error. There's also the infamous 31 years ago Hiruzen data book page that shows him on Team Tobirama looking quite youthful. And so it's like that's probably not correct, like the Tobirama's death thing. So there are quite a few things that have like in terms of like dates in particular in data book 4, there are quite a few things that I think have issues. And so it's like if there's anything that seems contradictory or seems weird, I kind of just overlook it. I'm actually at 10K. The special that I'm going to do for 10K is I don't want to call it fixing the Naruto timeline because so many other people have done that and it's always just like fanfic. I want to call it something like rectifying the Naruto timeline or like something, I don't know, something like that. But I'm going to go through the entire Naruto timeline, particularly like in regards to Konoha will be like the focus, but like from Kaguya era through Warring States, first war, second war, third war, fourth war, and then like I'll just leave Boruto as its own thing. But I think that that's kind of needed because a lot of the dates in particular, especially with Data Book 4, kind of get messed up. Which is like fine. You know, Kishimoto's not writing it himself. He has a whole editorial team working on it with him. The only data book that we know he worked on by himself, for sure, like he doesn't give credit in the back, is the first data book. And then like all the other 3 data books, or technically 4, there are 2 data book 3s, by the way, part 1 and part 2. But the other data books are all like he has contributors listed in the back. So I would say like Data Book 1 is interesting because it's like kind of his baby. It's the first one he did. He seems to have written it himself. and then, or at least mostly himself, and then the rest of them there's contributors listed in the back. And it's this company called Caramel Mama.
Yep.
They work on a bunch of different things. But you can like look in like the back of Data Book 4, for example. There's like a whole litany of people that he thanks and like for like helping him edit it. So yeah.
Yeah. Then the anime also messes up the timeline quite a bit. Zetsu / Hagoromo say it's been 1,000 years / several thousands of years.
Eons.
It's been eons.
And then obviously
like,
the
what
whole
does that
Kaguya filler is just ridiculously retconned at this point. It's outrageous how retconned that was.
Mm-hmm.
But,
I will say the so let me see if I can't find when the soldiers arrive to the battlefield, because if we don't get an implication that they arrive after the 5 Kage, then we can safely assume that they came with the 5 Kage. And if they did, then there may have been no passage of time. It may have just been like the 4 to 5 days that we speculated. If not, you could tack on another 3 and you can get it to a week. But it's like nobody gets that much stronger in a week's time. Like nobody goes from being sub 5 Kage Summit Sasuke level to casually beating up and boxing 4 level 2 Bijou simultaneously.
Yeah. Your timeline.
Real quick, do you want to know another thing that makes no sense besides just Obito that I just checked? And it's written by Kishimoto's first data book. So in the first data book, it's stated, so Kakashi and Guy are both 26 years old. Kakashi was promoted to Chunin at age 6. Guy was promoted to Chunin at age 11. Yeah, we saw them competing in this. Well, actually, I guess Guy doesn't necessarily have to have been promoted there. But
yeah. They fought in the Chunin exams. I do think because
wait. There's still another problem. Wait, no. There's still a flaw here. Guy's academy graduation age is 7. So how did Kakashi?
So they
at
joined,
6 years old,
right?
Face
exactly
academy guy in the Chunin exams.
Exactly. So this is where I think you have to consider like whether or not Kishimoto was thinking about that. And then whenever we see it in the manga, we then have to rectify it. So this is why I started the whole thing with like, what do you think is most canon? Because if you think the manga is most canon, then anything in the data books that contradict it must be adjusted to fit with the manga, which is kind of how I feel about it, which is why I made the whole Naruto canon explained video, was just to like explain to people like, look, there are issues here that do not make sense unless you find a way to rectify it, but there are ways to rectify it. So like, for example, if you bump Guy's age down by 1 year, or I guess, if you make him like 1 year older than Kakashi, then that would mean that he would have graduated at 1 year older than Kakashi, which then allows for him to take the Chunin exams at that age within a year of graduating and lose to Kakashi when Kakashi's 6. And then it works. But it's like things like that are what really grind my gears about it, because Kishimoto is so specific on certain things, and then other things it's like he's too specific to a point where there's no way to get around it without just like fundamentally changing things in the canon.
It's broken.
It's even worse. It's even worse with Kurenai. She graduates at age 9 and she's in these exams. Let's look at Asuma.
He's got to go through.
Yeah, so there's also it's worse with Anko, actually. Look at Anko. Anko's supposed to be 3 years younger than Kakashi, and yet it appears her name isn't in there, but she's a character that looks just like her. Is in those Chunin exams, which would mean that she was 3 years old.
I'm so glad you're going with my interpretation. That's just an Anko lookalike.
Yeah. It has to be an Anko lookalike, bro. We'll also consider this too. Like, consider what
she's 2 years younger than Kakashi in the first data book.
Right. Okay, so she would have been 4 years old in the Chunin exams, but she doesn't graduate until when? She's like 9.
10 years old is when she graduated from the academy. So that
Yeah.
Okay, we gotta figure out figure out how this works first. So she's born 2 years later. So that would be like a 12-year-old in Kakashi's class.
Yes.
When she graduates, but
Like, I get Itachi's a 4-year-old running around in the Third Great War, but I don't think everyone's able to do it.
well, apparently
even
Guy is one
Itachi's
of the youngest
is
graduates ever too. Like,
so Itachi's age is weird because like in the manga, he's stated to be 5 years older than Sasuke. And in part 1, Sasuke's 12 in part 1, which would mean that Sasuke or Itachi is 17. But then at the end of part 1, we get a statement that Orochimaru left the Akatsuki 10 years ago because of Itachi.
no, it's 7
the
years.
fact that we also
7 years. Well, in the anime, at least, it's 7 years.
So 7 years ago, yeah, because it's 10 years ago in part 2. So 7 years ago, which would have made him 10 years old. But we also
actually, I already know where you're going with this. I remember I talked about this once before too. Yeah. So he hasn't even done the massacre yet.
Exactly. Well, you know what I mean? So it's like, it doesn't, this is why, like, so, and this is one of the points that I made in that video as well, is like, if the manga contradicts itself, then you look to supplementary canon and then try to decide what's most consistent. So like with him, you would just like raise up his age by a couple years and then it works. Or you would say that the massacre happened when Sasuke was a little bit older. But I think the better way to do it is just like bumping Itachi's age a bit, which they actually kind of do in Shippuden. They raise it by they raise it by a year. So it brings it closer, but that still would have meant that he was 11 instead of 12 when the massacre happened and he joined the Akatsuki. So they kind of correct it, but they don't fully correct it. But yeah, I saw that the title of this was like, "Is Naruto a genius or something?"
Yeah, so why do you agree with me that Naruto's a stupid goddamn idiot and Thunder God's just wrong and 6 is the goated alpha Chad?
Okay, so I think
it'd be helpful for someone to actually say what each person's stance was rather than obviously inflating whatever they said.
So I think they're using 2 different terms to describe genius. Or 2 different definitions, I guess I should say. So the definition that 6 is using is in comparison to the other high tier intellects in the Naruto verse, where does this person rank in terms of like intellect? If they're not a part of the other people who are considered to be on this high tier, they're not a genius. There we go. We've got the definition right there.
Yeah.
Whereas TG, he was specifically talking about battle IQ. So like, and I think he's correct. I think Naruto's creativity in battle, I think he has a genius level battle IQ due to his creativity, but I don't think he's book smart. Like one of the things that TG points out as well in his video is Naruto learns how to use abilities by using them. Like for example, so whenever he first gets KCM, he uses body flicker, smashes his foot through the wall because he doesn't have control over it. But then after battling with it for a little bit, he gets enough of a feel of it to be able to like blitz the Raikage with body flicker. And it's a direct parallel between those 2 moments where it's like the first time Yamato's like, oh, he doesn't have the skillfulness that the 4th had. And then the second time he gets directly compared to the 4th Hokage. So it's like you get a direct comparison there just from him learning how to use it. Then like whenever he
I
gets...
had something to say on that point really quick, is that I don't think skill has anything to do with battle IQ.
No, I agree with that. What I'm saying, this is a side point because his creativity in his battle strategies is like high tier. He does have great battle strategies. He's the one that comes up with the strategy that he and Sasuke use against Zabuza. We know that Naruto also uses like a creative strategy against Neji for the uppercut. We know that he uses creative strategies with his clones, like throwing them, things like that. Against Momoshiki, he utilizes the creative strategy, like the Demon Wind Shuriken, transforming and then doing a second transformation after that. Naruto's battle IQ is super high. Kakazu, for example, is stated to be a genius, with like a high level of intellect and wisdom, and he just directly gets outmaneuvered and out battle IQ'd by Naruto utilizing his clones, um, particularly just like with the strategy he uses. Naruto fools Neji, making him think that the real him was sitting in the back while the clones were the ones that attacked him. Against Kaguya, he moves the True Seeker orbs to a clone because he knew that like she would know that it was him if the TSOs were behind his back. Like he consistently pulls out these really creative and like high battle IQ feats, but he's like book smart dumb. Like he's not, he doesn't have any book smarts. So the reason why I say they're using different definitions is because TG was specifically talking about battle IQ, not necessarily like overall general knowledge or book smarts. Whereas Six was comparing him to the other geniuses of the verse in more of an overall sense. Like I think Naruto is a prodigy, but I think he's a late bloomer because he doesn't do anything particularly prodigious, in my opinion, until he masters the Rasengan. And I think that's a prodigious thing because the only other people to master it are Kakashi, genius. Jiraiya, this is after he's like in his 40s and has already like become sort of like one of the best people in the world at ninjutsu in general.
Like you
Konohamaru.
could argue for the Shadow Clone Jutsu though, just given that it's a Jonin level technique and he's a 12-year-old academy kid.
Yeah, I would just say that the reason it's a Jonin level technique is
It's
because
the chakra consumption
Yeah.
though, is that's the problem.
Exactly. So like this
He
is
is
why
prodigiously high chakra reserves.
Yeah. So this is why I say that he doesn't do anything particularly prodigious until mastering the Rasengan, is because everything before that, in terms of like jutsu mastery and in terms of like skill, comes from genetic advantage. He's an Uzumaki. His dad was the fourth Hokage. He's got a crazy amount of chakra. Like, so summoning 1,000 shadow clones, then summoning 2,000 shadow clones, learning the summoning jutsu to like summon Gamabunta, like all that stuff. Beating Neji, that was the help of the Nine Tails. Beating Haku, help of the Nine Tails. Like everything that happens prior to that, you can attribute to genetic advantage or the advantage of having the Nine Tails sealed in him. Whereas mastering the Rasengan, Kakashi, genius. Jiraiya, in terms of jutsu knowledge, absolute genius, one of the best in the world. Konohamaru stated in the Boruto database to be a genius, even among the Sarutobi clan. So it's like Boruto, genius. Like, so we have four guys who know how to use this jutsu outside of Naruto, and they're all considered geniuses in one way or another. But Naruto is not a genius because of the way he mastered it. Like, I don't know. But then going on to Master Sage mode, obviously, like part of that is having gigantic chakra reserves. Like it's a requirement in order to even learn it at all. But that doesn't mean that it makes it easier to learn the technique, if that makes sense. Like, it makes it to where you can like begin learning it. Like there's a minimum threshold of chakra that you probably have to even be able to enter Sage mode. But then actually getting good at it is a totally different thing. Like Minato can enter Sage mode, but he can't maintain it for super long, and it takes him a while to build up the necessary chakra to do it. But like Naruto can just pop into it and stay in Sage mode for basically as long as he wants. But then when it really kind of gets to that next level, is even though he did the Shadow Clone training to accelerate his training, learning the Rasen Shuriken or developing the Rasen Shuriken, an S rank jutsu that's just stated to be beyond what the fourth Hokage could do, stated to be beyond what Kakashi could do, both geniuses. And then whenever he goes on to like master the Nine Tails chakra, get 6 past stage mode and stuff, he can just flawlessly use every nature transformation, including all of the Bijou Kekkei Genkai and like all that stuff, like first try. He uses magnet release the first time he tries to use it perfectly. Like he does just have an innate understanding of how to use jutsu. But that's why I was saying earlier, he's not like a learn from the book kind of guy. He's a learn from trying, which is why whenever he first gets 6 past sage mode, he like is floating, and then Sasuke's like, "Oh, dude, you can fly." and then he's like, whoa, and like kind of like flies around a little bit and then gets control of it basically immediately. He then just innately knows how to use his Jesus powers to heal Guy
Same
and
with healing
Kakashi.
Kakashi's eye. He's like, I can't
Yeah,
explain what I'm doing, but I can do it.
exactly. So I do think he's a genius or a prodigy, but I don't think it's in a conventional way. Like he has this this level of creativity that's rivaled by basically nobody. And then just an innate understanding of ninjutsu he can't even explain, but like it is there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I have a couple of things to contest that. Okay, so starting off, I think that well, okay. Actually, Kamui, do you want to go first? Because I feel like I'm gonna take a while.
I mean, I know you like to overinflate my stance on this for fun, but I mean, my general stance has been pretty similar. Naruto's not smart in a lot of ways, like book smarts. I guess you could say common sense even. And a lot of stuff like he'll just do stupid things he shouldn't do. He's a goofy trickster guy. That's his nature. But when it comes to fights, he is very creative and clever. He comes up with good strategies. Sometimes it's goofy things that just happen to work out. Other times, like for example, how he's gonna defeat the Naraka path, or half the paths of pain for that matter. He swallows the animal path at the toe so that he can fight over which he can't see, and the shared vision's useless. The Naraka path, he does the smoke bomb, followed by throwing himself transformed as a Rasen Shuriken to tackle the Preda path and distract him, while the other clones coming from above to hit the Naraka path from behind, stuff like that. Like, he can come up with just genuinely smart strategies. Are they Shikamaru 8,000 IQ strategies? No, but they're smart strategies. And sometimes he does discern
the Kakuzu thing
abilities pretty well.
Sorry to interrupt you, but the Kakuzu thing is a perfect example of that because Kakuzu is just outright stated to be a genius. So it's like he's able to outsmart a genius in terms of just battle IQ. Like that right there should in and of itself tell us like in terms of this specific aspect, he is a genius. But go on.
I will say though, when it comes to Kakuzu, while that might technically be true, I don't like using it just because never mind the second time he catches him, where you could say, "Oh, that's smart of him." The first time, bro, he didn't do anything great. He didn't do anything. Kakuzu just got caught lacking for no reason. Some genius, my butt. You could tell Kishimoto was in the hospital for that. But anyway, the overall point is Naruto does come up with clever strategies pretty often. They're very unorthodox, but that plays into his creativity. And there are times where he just does discern abilities pretty smart. For example, versus Delta, he discerns that, you know what? You absorbed my jutsu, but when you fired it back exactly as it was, unlike Momoshiki. That's telling me you're storing and releasing this chakra. I have a feeling you probably got a limit. You ain't gonna be like me here. I can probably overload your ninja tech because I know you already told me you're using ninja tech. There's probably a limit, so he overloads her. That's an example of Naruto intelligently discerning how his opponent's abilities most likely work and then countering them. Naruto does do that sometimes. But he might not be like Sasuke and Shikamaru about it, or at least as consistently and whatnot, but he does display the ability pretty darn well a lot of times. So I think he's pretty smart in battle. He's just not smart in every way. He's not passing the written exam the normal way, like Sakura. No, he can't even cheat probably, but that's not his thing.
Okay.
I'll let you go now.
Yeah. So the first thing I want to say, and I have like a lot of things to say here, obviously. The first thing I want to say is that geniuses in Naruto are going to be like accurate and pinpoint. It's like closer to the 100% threshold of success, whereas Naruto is wildly inconsistent. He can do something that will work, or he's just going to do the most blatantly, obviously stupidest decision he could ever do, such as very beginning of the series, Land of Waves. He just walks into Haku's mirrors, and that's just Naruto's big brain strategy. So
to be fair though, when people talk about Naruto, just real quick, they're generally not referring to Land of Waves Naruto.
No, I know. But I do think this applies throughout the entire series. But this sort of goes along with Naruto's sort of behavior of how he fights in combat, to where I don't think he's necessarily deducing a genius strategy that he just know is gonna work. He really just throws things against the wall and sees what sticks. Like, I don't think he planned necessarily to crawl under the ground with his bare fingernails to uppercut Neji. I think he was just sort of desperate. He's like, oh yeah, this'll work. Like, he's sort of reacting in the moment, then like strategizing, move behind the move, ninja deception, 5D chess, planning in advance, or anything like that. Thoughts on that? Do you agree with that?
Well, we know that that is the case with the Demon Wind Shuriken thing, though. Like, we know for a fact that he planned that. Both times they use that strategy.
So, okay, a few things with that. Okay, first of all, technically, if I were to be mean about it, Kamui just said we're not using Land of Waves.
Yeah, he said most people don't refer to Land of Waves because he is kind of a dunce. But like even back then, he shows creative strategies. But yeah. I see what you're saying. But yeah, he definitely does. Yeah,
but it's intelligent because it works. Hypothetically, if Zabuza just saw it coming, no one would see that as an intelligent play.
Well, I mean, I still think it's an intelligent play whether or not it works because like the I'm looking at it right now. Okay, so this like process is ridiculous. So they're talking about how cool Zabuza is. He makes all these clones, blah blah, jump at him, dog pile, get knocked back. Naruto thinks to himself, "This is the last thing that might work." Throws the Demon Wind Shuriken to Sasuke. Sasuke recognizes what's going on.
That's the last thing that might work. He's being pressed. He's desperate. He's been backed into a corner. He's just throwing stuff against the wall and hoping it sticks. It just so happened to work. He's not being
Well, if you look at what's happened... Well, hold on. Yeah. Look at what's happened to this point, though. So, like, Kakashi gets trapped in this thing after telling them, do not engage with this guy. He will kill you. And then Sasuke gives it his best shot. He gets shoulder checked and slammed to the ground. Naruto's like, well, I guess I'll try to make a bunch of clones and like dogpile him, and that doesn't work. So then this is actually the first like real strategy he develops outside of let Sasuke attack or make a bunch of clones. So he says this is the last thing that might work out, and he takes the like in the diversion, right? Like whenever he piles into the dog pile of shadow clones, that's whenever he switches places with the Demon Wind Shuriken. So then he's in the bag already. He throws himself as a Demon Wind Shuriken to Sasuke. Sasuke then gets the message. He throws the Demon Wind Shuriken at Zabuza. Zabuza catches it. There's another one hidden inside of it. That was a part of the plan. Naruto did that as well. And it just so happens that the one that was hidden in the other one is Naruto, and then he's able to throw the kunai. And it's like, dude, this is the first major arc of the show, and this is a let's see. So he hides in. So the first step of this plan is jumping onto him with the shadow clones. So that's one. Then while he's jumping onto him with the shadow clones, he swaps himself out, like, or transforms into the Demon Wind Shuriken, and goes into one of his shadow clones' bags. So that's step 2. They get knocked back. He then throws himself to Sasuke. That's step 3. Then Sasuke throws them at Zabuza, hides one of them in the shadow. That's step 4 and step 5. And then forces Zabuza to jump and dodge. You could call that step 6, but, whatever, 5.5. And then he transforms again. And then, so that's step 6. And then he throws the kunai. That's a 7-step plan that this dude came up with off the top of his dome piece. Like, that's really impressive.
It's more coincidence that it happened to work. Zabuza just so happened to do everything right.
I feel like that's being disingenuous.
No, it isn't, because...
It's like Kakashi said, you were forced to let go.
No, but...
Let's
the genius was going to do the pinpoint plan that's the most likely guaranteed percentage-wise to succeed. Naruto's doing a risky plan. Like, he doesn't know if it's going to succeed or not, and he's also not preparing for it. Like, I get, like, oh, it's a 7-stage plan, but he's doing it, like, the moment he comes up with the idea, and he's not being considerate of whether or not it's actually going to work, or having the plan being around the situation or circumstances, or considering the fact that he's fighting specifically Zabuza. He's just doing something that he randomly thought of. And then for some reason it works because Sasuke also comes up with the same plan or realizes what Naruto did, and then Zabuza just doesn't for some reason. That's right there. Something that Naruto immediately got lucky on. Zabuza just didn't see whatever for some reason.
Who's to recognize that?
That's
Sasuke
because
recognized
Sasuke.
it.
No, but Sasuke recognized that the shuriken Naruto gave him wasn't like the exact same thing
He came
as
in
the Demon Wind
contact with his
Shuriken he had. Zabuza's over there like 100 feet away, and I don't think he's gonna
Zabuza's
recognize Sasuke's
watching.
Demon Wind Shuriken.
Nah, bro. If Naruto and Sasuke
Well, also,
can hear each other on top of the waterfall,
make
they
the
got good
argument-
sight.
Well,
You
you
could
can
smell
make
it.
the argument, right? Like that because Naruto is the Demon Wind's Shuriken, that like whenever he comes in contact with Sasuke, there he tosses the Shadow Clone tosses the Demon Wind Shuriken to Sasuke. Sasuke catches it. That's Naruto, so he's in contact with Naruto, which could be how he recognizes what's going on. It would also be 2 of those in his hand, so he would be like, okay, so Naruto transformed into a Demon Wind Shuriken, threw me 2 Demon Wind Shurikens. He's one of them. Okay, I understand what he's trying to get me to do. Like, so just because Sasuke understands it by coming in contact with Naruto's chakra and seeing that he threw him an extra Demon Wind Shuriken, that doesn't really like mean anything. Especially, you would agree that Kakashi's a genius, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Kakashi says, Naruto, your scheme was brilliant.
Scheme. He's calling it a
Man.
scheme. Exactly. That
It's
goes with my
literally-
interpretation of what this
It's
is.
a scheme, strategy. It's all
Yeah,
it's
he
also called a
pranked
jutsu a spell
Zabuza.
here. He calls a jutsu a spell. This is the language they used in the Land of
Okay,
Waves.
and
Okay,
the
So
translation you
it's-
linked just said that Kakashi's the mirror ninja. I don't think we could go with translations necessarily.
The other thing though is but also like Zabuza's like, oh, I got distracted and released the jutsu, like, oh, it was a fluke. But Kakashi's like, no, that's not true. You didn't release it like just on a whim. You were forced to release it by the plan, indicating that this is basically a foolproof plan.
It's not a foolproof plan. I've already
Let me-
deduced how it isn't, and there's way more ways. Hypothetically, the windmill that Zabuza caught, if he just put it in front of him to deflect the second one, Naruto dies. That's the more likely strategy he should
what
have done
happens
anyways.
when that? I mean, well,
What he
actually,
should have done.
he might be able to clang as metal before undoing it, but
The point is, Naruto just
We don't really know
dies
how
there
that
in the
works.
most likely scenario. Like, he had to be so lucky there for everything to work. Naturally, Zabuza would have done something differently.
Why did he have to be lucky? Like why? So my question is like, why
mean, like-
would Zabuza have done something different?
Because
Is that
the
not the
more
most
likely
reasonable
thing
play
he
from
would have
Zabuza?
done, instead of jumping over the shuriken, he would have just deflected it with the first shuriken.
why is that more likely?
It's easier.
Wait, hold on. Why
Is it
does that,
easier?
like mean anything though? Like if he just like goes to deflect it, why can't Naruto transform and like stab him?
How's he gonna get past Zabuza holding the wind shuriken, hitting him with it?
He's not ready
So,
for it. He's
what-
off guard. He's not expecting
What
this.
you're saying is, yeah. What you're saying is he was gonna like block it, right? So he catches the Demon Wind Shuriken in his. Okay, he catches the Demon Wind
Left hand.
Shuriken in his left hand.
Yeah.
Let me see, because I'm pretty sure Zabuza says he has to jump. Let me see. So he catches the Demon Wind Shuriken in his left hand.
Well, that's just wrong.
And he says amateur. Oh, because the other one was hidden underneath it. He didn't have time to react.
Literally
He
hidden
literally didn't
underneath
yeah,
have
the
time
shadow
to
Doesn't
react.
make
shuriken
sense.
jutsu. or whatever. Oh yeah, he was
He
surprised.
said, yeah.
He said,
He
"There's
was literally
another
just
one,
taken
the
off guard.
shuriken shadow." With an exclamation, very startled. Kakashi's thinking that's the shadow shuriken jutsu, and then he says like, "But that's still not enough because he dodged it."
What the fuck? What all happened? Is
Yeah,
Land
it
of
doesn't
Waves
make any
Volume
sense.
2? It must be.
Plus, he's also relying on
Oh, I-
Sasuke to not only
'Cause I've
know
got
the
the-
plan, but to execute the plan. If Sasuke throws the shuriken wrong, the plan doesn't work. Naruto didn't communicate any of this to Sasuke.
Right, but it's
Okay,
like
yeah, but
they
by
know
this
each
like, no,
other
but here's the
very
thing though.
well.
Shikamaru's playing with Tamari. Yeah, he's relying on Tamari to choose to jump towards the hole instead of jumping 20 feet to the left where the hole isn't there.
No,
like,
because
yeah, he got lucky.
Tamari
She
would
just so
be
happened to jump
Zabuza.
into the hole.
Tamari would be Zabuza rather than a comrade that he's relying on to execute his plan for him. Shikamaru isn't relying on Shoji
I'm
to get
looking at the. I'm
shadow
talking about the
possession.
first part for now.
Yeah.
The first part for now, though. Like,
That's this
I don't
analysis.
hear you complaining that Shikamaru was so lucky there.
Shikamaru's the one doing the shadow possession. Naruto's not throwing the shuriken. In fact, we don't even know if that was Naruto's plan. Sasuke could just be misinterpreting whatever Naruto's plan was.
No, because Naruto explains the plan immediately after.
Okay, and he could be explaining whatever Sasuke did. Trying to take the credit.
That just goes against like what they're clearly presenting.
Character, though, yeah. Okay, so
totally
Kakashi. Yeah, so the by the way, I'm looking at the official volume release. Kakashi does say, Naruto, your scheme was brilliant.
Yeah, but again, calling it a scheme is not the same as a strategy. That's like saying unorthodox is the same as genius.
That's like saying a spell. That's like saying a spell isn't the same as a jutsu.
Actually, Oodie, you are by definition wrong. Scheme definition: a large-scale systematic plan. Now to get started.
Okay, bank heists
or
are
arrangement for
key.
attaining a particular object or putting a particular idea into effect. That just is schemes just are strategies.
Okay, and Kakashi's not referring to the definition; he's referring to the connotation.
On that same page, he calls a jutsu a spell. Like
bad translation.
They used to call the shadow clone jutsu the doppelganger jutsu.
Yeah, you know what else
jutsu is like henge no jutsu.
If we're relying on Viz so much, then what happened in Boruto?
Am I gonna have
very bad?
I don't know.
Am I gonna have to go? That's a typo. Am I gonna have to go and pull up?
Oh, there's a lot of those. Don't you worry. We've compiled all of them.
Hold on. Can you prove it's the same translators, bro? Can you prove it's the same translators?
It's Viz. It doesn't matter who it is. It's the representation of the company. It's
all
the
right.
official authoritative source.
Am I gonna have to go? Fuck it. We're gonna do it.
Actually, no, that's not true because in JJK there was a whole big dispute about the original translator being good, but then when John Wherry took over, Viz became bad for JJK.
Yeah.
So it does matter who's translating.
No, it matters because then Viz got worse. I don't care if it's a different translator. It's Viz's translator.
Yeah, they got worse, but that doesn't. But because Boruto is later, that means that Naruto could be good while Boruto's bad in terms of translation quality. Okay, that doesn't mean Naruto's bad.
I have
just because it got worse. Because by the reverse logic, Viz used to be better. Okay. What does that really mean, though?
No, but my point is that he's relying on the accuracy of this translation just because it's from Viz, and I've proven that Viz is not a reliable translator.
I'm translating that statement right now.
Give me the raw kanji.
I've got it right here. Hold on.
Unless it is... Unless the raw kanji is saying Jumon, I don't want to hear it.
Okay.
That's being disingenuous.
I love how I'm still on the beginning of my first point.
Brother, the official actually translates to strategy or plan. It's Sakusen.
I told you it's
unreliable. It says Naruto. that strategy. So this is the translation. It says Naruto. That strategy was excellent.
Okay, yeah, he's not saying Naruto's strategy was excellent. He's saying that strategy was excellent.
That's the strategy Naruto came up with.
Sasuke did it.
But it was Naruto's strategy.
That's
like when Shikamaru comes up with a plan for Asuma to do, and Asuma does it. It's saying it's Asuma's plan. No, it's not. Shikamaru's. He made the plan.
That's like saying it's the Toad's plan for Naruto to use Sage Mode against Jubito.
No, that's so different because in this case,
he shot Naruto him and left before he even learned that was effective.
in this case, Naruto is fighting Zabuza. He then develops a multi-step plan, 7 steps, involving two levels of transformation, as well as a hidden demon wind shuriken under another one. And in order to like free Kakashi, a multi-step plan that Kakashi calls excellent or brilliant or splendid, all three work. Like it's 100% a good plan. Like there's no question about whether or not it's a good plan. It worked against a Jonin who's like
but yeah,
listed in the bingo book and everything.
My argument isn't about right now whether it's a good plan or not. It's whether or not it's Naruto's plan. Kamui, are you saying that it's not the same thing? It's the exact same thing because in both cases, someone is interpreting some action from someone else without communication and then doing their own thing.
He's not doing his own thing. He's doing exactly what Naruto intended.
No, Sasuke does exactly what Naruto wanted him to do. This is Naruto's breakdown. The doppelganger spell wasn't meant to take down Zabuza at all. This is Naruto speaking. It diverted his attention away from me while I transformed myself into the second wind shuriken. Of course, I didn't think that form alone would be enough to permit me to defeat him, but I was at least able to free you from this water prison. And then it breaks down. The doppelgangers were a distraction. Actually, I only need one copy plus a genuine article. The true body transforms. It becomes the shuriken, folds itself up, and lies in wait. Then the doppelganger takes hold of the main body, which looks like a shuriken, and throw it over to Sasuke. Sasuke stacks it on top of another shuriken that he already had and throws them both. This is him explaining his plan.
Listen, that doesn't even sound like Naruto. Naruto doesn't talk like that. Okay, Shibai came down to possess his body to explain it through Naruto. Or Kurama took over like he did in the war arc. It's not Naruto saying those words.
These speech bubbles are coming from Naruto, bro.
This is from the same Naruto that called it Katra a couple episodes ago. He doesn't know what he's saying.
We proved that was anime only.
Okay, well this happens with anime too. So Haku said, when people are protecting something truly precious to them, they can truly become stronger. Kakashi was protecting Team 7 in this scene. He can do anything.
I mean, yeah, I agree that he could have a mental lamp there. But I think that I agree that he could have a mental lamp there based on like how mental lamps work. But I would say did you watch my mental lamps and nurse video?
Yeah. I thought it was good.
So
in fact, I mentioned in my video there's like a
you commented on it. Video. Yeah, you commented on it. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I was like, wait, hold on. So the reason why I think it's unlikely that he had a mental lamp here is because we usually get indications of it. So like I talked about this in the video, you know this. But like even in like the Naruto versus Gaara scene, like we know that he is thinking about like wanting to save Sakura and Sasuke. He's thinking about his friends, like he's trying to protect them, but he doesn't actually get amped until after he has like thoughts that rile him up emotionally, thinking back to like Kakashi, thinking about what Haku said, and then we get a visual indication of it, and then he gets amped. That's actually like consistent for every time that we can actually point to this is definitively a mental amp. Those two things are present. So I think if those two things are not present, it's more likely to not be a mental amp. But I do think like it's not that it's not possible, but it's like it would also be kind of inconsistent for Kakashi to be mental amped there and then like beat him up later on or like go relative to him.
Well,
because he actually
so what you're saying right now, yes, Kakashi's the last thing that Naruto thinks about, but it's still in context to Naruto. To Sasuke and Sakura, because I'll just read this out loud. So Kakashi first says, "I won't let my comrades die" to Sasuke when Zabuza first arrives, and this is just like a narrative thing. This isn't like a debate thing, but it's just like intertwining or like doing a through line for everything within this particular theme or story or lesson that the thing is going for. Just all the connections here. So Kakashi first says, "I won't let my comrade die" to Sasuke when Zabuza first arrives. Then Naruto thinks back on those words before summoning 2,000 clones against Gaara, something he couldn't otherwise do, to protect Sasuke and Sakura. Then, in the war arc, Naruto says it back to Kakashi while protecting him. Then, making it come full circle, Obito clowns him for it before Kakashi finally uses these words to dig deep down and kill Obito, quote unquote. Because to protect the current Naruto, who said those words back to him. We have said to Naruto, who Naruto is only said it because Kakashi said it to him, which allowed Naruto to have the strength to say it later. So Yeah.
So I think the example of Kakashi and that's what, like 508 Kakashi's resolve is you're referring to?
Uh, with the Obito fight, I don't know.
Talking about that? Are you talking about the Naruto sequence? Yeah, yeah. So the Obito sequence is that's 508, and it's just like titled Kakashi's resolve. So it's like
Okay.
okay, so like that kind of like lends credence to that being like a resolve amp instead of like a mental amp. But we do get the but you know, like I defined a resolve amp as like somebody operating below what they can normally do, like at their full capacity, and then like something happens to generate powerful emotions in them, and then they kind of get back to that full power, which I think is like what we see with Kakashi there. But then with Naruto, the point I was making, because I actually think he gets resolve amped, and then I think he gets mental amped, because we see what chapter is that? That's like it's in the 190s. It's like 190, right?
Mm-hmm. By the way, Kamui, really quick, does Obito ever say to Kakashi that he won't let his comrades die when Rin gets captured?
No, it's not 190.
That would really bring it full circle.
Don't remember if he says,
because narratively that's not needed, but it would be so good. It's just slightly better than what it is. It's already like 95% perfect. Because what this would be, this is Obito passing down this ideology to Kakashi, who passes it down to Naruto, who then passes it back to Kakashi, who then passes it back to Obito, technically speaking. So it all comes full circle.
and like, and I know
Obito
they
helped
do
himself later on.
exactly that when it comes to the those who break the rules are scum thing, and he says like, you know, Obito. But I think he might say, "I'll never let my comrades die." Is like, you know, I said those words to you. Those are actually Obito's or something. I think he might say that.
Okay.
Let me just look.
I think we need to see.
Wait,
Obito
would say it
saying
when?
him. He might say it in the war.
Oh, we see Obito saying it to him.
Kid
he says,
Obito.
"It's
Kakashi.
yeah.
Okay,
Not
be
the
like,
trash thing and scum thing, but like just
243.
I'll never let my comrades die."
Exactly. Yeah, it'd be around that point as well.
I don't know if he actually says that.
But he should though, right? Isn't that so cool? Because again, it's not just that it's passing down, it's because the previous person told it to them that they're able to pass it down in the first place. And so Obito's words from his kid, Obito's own words are coming back not only to hinder him, but to help him back on the original path. If you want to go with that interpretation.
Yeah. Which, by the way, the Naruto scene is 132. So like Naruto's like getting juggled by Shukaku, like partial transformation Gaara, and then like at the end of 132, he's thinking to himself, he's like throughout the entire chapter, he's like, Sakura, Sasuke, you have to save them, blah blah. Yeah. And then at the end of it, he's like, what is this feeling welling up for whatever reason just against this guy? I don't want to lose to him even if I end up dying. And then you see like his eyes go bloodshot. And then the first page of 133, he's like staring at him, and Gaara says, the look in his eyes, did it change? So like we see an indication here that something has happened, and then he's able to do the paper bomb thing where he outmaneuvers him and like hits him with the explosive 1,000 years of death. So I think that's an example of a resolve amp where he gets back to like, because he's fatigued, and then he like kind of like locks in. He's able to like do what he should normally be able to do. He then like lands that blow, and then when Sasuke says, you better rescue Sakura no matter what, get her the hell out of here, blah blah, precious companions, and then he thinks back to Naruto, or to Kakashi, and then he thinks back to Haku, and then he stands up, and then like we get that visual indication, and then he summons 2,000 clones. Well, after Sasuke's like, whoa, summoning this, or he's summoning unbelievable amounts of chakra. Is this really Naruto? And I swear I'll protect all of you. So like he was trying to protect them. He was thinking about it. And then he does get like a resolve amp that gets him back to like kind of where he should be when he's locked in. He uses that shadow clone technique, but he still like gets tagged by him. But then whenever we get like that full indication is whenever we get a mental amp. So I think like the difference between like if somebody's mental amped, we always, even if somebody's resolve amped, we always get an indication of it. But especially if somebody gets mental amped. I'm actually so glad I did that video because like I think there's so much evidence for it, and are you? I'm sure you've heard the arguments about like Minato blitzing Kurama during the Nine Tails attack, right? Like with his body flicker.
I don't know if I have heard that.
Oh, dude.
Oh, you mean
Okay,
the
so
fingernail thing? Yeah, no, I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
That's what I thought.
yeah,
you
so
meant too.
the
yeah, I thought you meant like
he
inside the
he like
village.
blitzes Kurama twice. Yeah, well, he does it inside the village as well. So across the village, I guess. So in I believe 501, yeah, 501, whenever he gets released from the seal, it's page 11. Kushina's like on that rock. Kurama goes to like slam down on her, and then Minato is able to like outspeed Kurama to save Kushina, and we know that he didn't have an FTG seal on her. And he likely doesn't have an FTG seal on this random tree, so it's more likely to be physical speed. So he probably like physically blitzes Kurama here, or like physically outspeeds him with body flicker. And then if you go to 503, this one's crazy. In 503, towards the middle. Yeah, he gets on the Hokage monument, and then like Kurama's charging up a Bijou bomb, and we just see Minato go, "Oh no!" And then he's just suddenly across the village on top of him with Gamabunta, which means so he doesn't have an FTG seal on Kurama. We know that's super unlikely. We also know that he consistently, whenever he uses FTG, not only do we get like an indication of it visually, but then also like they give like an audible like kanji most of the time, but we also know that he never teleports further than like body distance away from an FTG marking. So and we also know that the summoning spawns at the point of your palm. So all of that being said, what must have happened here is he traversed the distance of the entire village, jumped up above Kurama's head, weaved the hand signs for the summoning, and dropped Gamabunta on him, all before Kurama could react to what was going
on. Does
That's
chapter 1 not
ridiculous.
show the Nine Tails attack at all? Is it not in the beginning of the manga?
It shows the goofy panel with a completely different art thing.
Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah,
Bad.
it shows like a really weird ancient depiction of it.
Interesting. So then they don't show that's weird. They don't show it at the beginning of the series?
Nope.
That's crazy.
It actually cuts right to like Naruto pulling a prank.
Wow.
It shows you get Aruka, it gets a couple page flashback of the Nine Tails attacking. You get that.
Okay. Where is that? Is that down here?
Coming up soon, right here.
Right here.
It's just this page though.
First of all, this could be a retcon because I think you would have the Sharingan eye here, but he doesn't have the fox slit either, so it's just red eye. We can't tell.
Well, I mean, it looks pretty red there at least.
No, we see it right here. Okay. Would he? I don't know what.
Well, actually, no, I don't think it's a retcon because I'm pretty sure this specific panel in the flashback happens after Obito loses control. I'll double check. I'm pretty sure that scene we're looking at is after.
Well, also we know that like his eyes from a distance are just depicted as like red.
Well, no, but it right here
even when he's being controlled by the Nine Tails too.
It does show it.
Oh, gotcha.
Not a fox, yeah. So it really depends on that, Kamui, based on whenever Aruka was saying. But they are saying we have to stand our ground until the fourth gets here, which is what they say at the beginning of episode 1.
Yeah, but even still, so it's this is pretty funny though. But Kurama's eyes go from Sharingan to normal. Literally, the panel before Aruka's saying, "No, don't go, Dad," which is what this flashback is.
Oh my God, Kishimoto is like cornered.
It happens. Like I bet you Kishimoto was like, "Oh, I wrote myself in a corner there. Let's put it right here."
That's hilarious. Yeah,
also, real quick, because you asked earlier, it's not word for word the same as Kakashi when he says, "I don't let my comrades die," but there's a flashback of Kakashi thinking of when Obito stabs the stone guy saying, "I'll protect my comrades." In the actual chapter, when it happens, it says, this time I'll protect my comrades. It's the same idea. It's not quite word for word the same, but
No,
that's
fine,
also
that's
true
fine.
about
It's the
the
idea.
scum thing anyway, because when Obito says it, he changes the wording slightly. So Kakashi's just paraphrasing anyway.
Yeah, it's connecting this plot line anyways. But if you want to go even further, then episode 1, chapter 1 or whatever, Naruto says, "I'll kill you," talking to Mizuki, rather than "I'll protect my precious comrade," Mizuki. So then Kakashi says at episode 4, chapter, I don't know, 6, 7, 8, whatever it is, which is interesting. So maybe that could fix Naruto in that case. Maybe this is why.
Well, he does say, "If you ever lay a hand on my sensei, I'll kill you." So it's not
well,
just
that's not my point. My point is he's not telling Gaara, "If you ever lay a hand on my Sasuke, I'll kill you." He's saying that I'm going to protect my precious comrades. And that's exactly what Sasuke's telling back to him, which again
think
is
of
something
him
that
saying
Kakashi
my
told him.
Sasuke. It's hilarious.
Yeah, exactly. But I think this is interesting
It's
because
like
again,
Vegeta's like my Bulma.
but narratively, if you want to go with the Naruto thing, cool. But for this moment where Sasuke is saying it to Naruto, Sasuke's obviously referring to Itachi, but you could argue that he's saying this because Kakashi told him it in the Land of Waves. But then also, again, if he's saying it because of Itachi, from a different perspective, Kakashi's saying it because of Obito. They both had trauma in their past or a great loss of a precious comrade that they never want to see happen again. Naruto hasn't had that. And so he's able to not necessarily learn, but like maybe take the advice from both Sasuke and Kakashi, who's told it to him, who are saying it because as the end result of them losing their precious bond, to where Naruto now doesn't have to go through this same loss. Hypothetically, he would have, narratively, if none of this happened. If they didn't say it, if Kakashi didn't say it to Sasuke, if Kakashi didn't lose Obito, if Sasuke didn't lose his whole clan to Itachi, etc., etc. If you want to go with it like that.
It couldn't be me, bro.
Yeah, I'm
Loser
a
energy.
nerd, but yeah. Oh yeah, he's even thinking of it right here. I'll never let my comrades die. But anyways, I did also pull this up for a very specific reason. Okay, so Sage of Thicket and Kamui.
What up?
How do the clones know where to spawn? I was thinking about this the other day. Why don't they spawn in the middle of the air and just like fall down off of the tree? Why are they all on the trees in the correct angle, etc., etc.? Same with the Mizuki situation. We see every other time when he's on the ground, they just spawn like around him randomly. So is this like some chakra thing to where it's like trying like find the path of least resistance, like a lightning strike? It's just finding the closest physical matter to spawn it on subconsciously? Or is Naruto like telekinetically deciding where each and every clone spawns?
Well,
happening
all
here?
I'm gonna say is if
Explain
it's
it.
the
I think
latter,
he's-
you better
I think he's
revoke your
deciding where
Naruto
they
genius
spawn.
thing right now.
Yeah,
I think it is.
So I'm gonna go with that
He
one,
is
just to prove that he's a
deciding where they
genius.
show up at.
Sorry, what was that saying?
Yeah, I think he is just deciding where they show up at because, like, we know that, like, but obviously they don't all spawn right on top of each other when he summons like 1,000 of them. So you could say it's just like the path of least resistance, but it's also like they spawn in formation sometimes. Like against Kakazu, they spawn in a particular formation whenever he's
Same
like
with
getting ready to
Kimimara.
enact a
It spawns
strategy.
around him in a circle rather
Yeah.
than around Naruto.
Right. So I do think it's like they can just be spawned sort of wherever he wants them to be. I don't know if it's listed, like if the range of the jutsu is listed.
That's crazy. I didn't think about
If it's
that.
listed as long range, that would be crazy.
Just infinite range. You can go anywhere.
This is actually one of the
Yeah, but
arguments
that
that
definitely
I've
should
used.
be a limitation of his
Because in
jutsu.
this case, it's kind of funny. He should just use a shadow clone in any fight. Because the distance, really, if he's in a fight with someone else in close combat, it's not going to matter the distance because they're going to be close anyways. He should just spawn a clone directly underneath a person laying down, ready to do the Uzumaki barrage. Just kick them in the air. He could just do that at any point of any fight, seemingly.
No, he should just spawn them under the ground like with Neji, so he can just come out of the ground out of nowhere.
Or even better, he could just spawn 1,000. Just spawn him directly on top of his head. Like, just crush whoever he's fighting.
In a range, it just says ninjutsu B rank supplementary. So there is no established range for it. Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
I mean, if you want to get granular, you could just take one of the scenes when Naruto spawns like 1,000 shadow clones. The farthest shadow clone away is the minimum range he can do. Like he can at least go that far.
I don't remember Naruto saying this. The Whirling Swirling Ninja Handbook? The Whirling
Wait,
Swirling.
what?
Yeah, where does this come from? It's just Naruto's Ninja Handbook, right? The 2000 clone technique?
That's hilarious.
Yeah, I don't remember that at all. Okay.
Um,
So another thing.
yeah, because like the Uzumaki Naruto combo is which is really weird because the multi shadow clone jutsu is an A rank, but this is a B rank, and it's just the multi shadow clone jutsu plus a combo. But anyway, I don't know how many clones it takes to be a multi shadow clone jutsu actually, but
It's
um,
not specified, but I mean, when he says
it's like a lot,
multi
though.
shadow clone jutsu, it's always a crap ton. When he just says shadow clone, it's like maybe 10 at the most, usually.
Yeah.
It's really inconsistent though.
I don't know what the cutoff is. There should have just been a cutoff. Be like, when it hits at least blank, it's multi. Oh god, I already know what you're looking
Well,
at.
because
yeah.
it says Okay, so I'm looking at it right now. The multiple shadow clone technique, ninjutsu A rank supplementary, Naruto users or users Naruto, Uzumaki, Kakashi Hatake, etc. The technique development.
Oh, you know, really
Countless
quick, I just
shadow
thought of something
clones.
else.
The exact number.
I don't know if we're gonna count this. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just thought I don't want to lose this point. Would you
You're good.
count 5 Kage Summit Naruto telling Sasuke that if they fight they'll both die in this same plot through line of I'll never let my comrades die, because both Naruto and Sasuke have thought it and felt it and said it to each other or whatever? Like they'll both be the ones that won't do it. So
Yeah.
they'll both die.
I think,
Fight.
yeah, I think they're relative to each other at that point in time.
I meant like narratively, was that something
so I
he
think
was
that makes
thinking of when he was writing that?
No.
Nah,
That
yeah,
doesn't
it's a
make
little bit
sense. It's because
disconnected.
it's that he's not never letting his comrades die. He's saying, if my comrade dies, I die too.
Well, no, but in this case, it's like they're both
Yeah.
special in this case because they'll both never. I don't know. I just something I was thinking. Anyways,
I don't think so. I don't think it's the same.
okay, that's fine. That's fine. I'm sorry, Sage. What were you saying before I rudely interrupted you?
No, you're good. I was just saying. I think like, narratively at that point in time, they're kind of relative, you know. So, it makes sense for him to say something along those lines, and especially because like when you consider the fact that he's running to the battlefield in Sage mode, and like trying to sense Kakashi's chakra, he can sense Kakashi's chakra, which means that he should be able to sense Sasuke's chakra. And that would be when Sasuke was at his strongest, like whenever he had the fully evolved, I say fully evolved for the Mangekyo Sharingan, like a fully armored half body Susanoo. So it's like the version of Naruto. Damn, does this charger not work? The version of Naruto that should be relative to like full power 5 Kage Summit Sasuke is Sage Mode Naruto, which is actually kind of crazy.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So Sage.
Well, dudes, it is like 2:00 here. Wait, hold on. I'm gonna wrap this up here pretty quick. But what were you saying?
If you want to do just a few more quick topics, we could.
Yeah, we can.
Okay. So, did you know
Let me find
Kurama's
a
eyes
charger really
changes drastically throughout the series?
His eyes do, or his size does?
Size.
Yeah. So.
Oh yeah,
so like,
for sure.
This scene, for example, look at how small Kurama is compared to Naruto in this fist bump. To be fair, this final scene, you could argue Baryon mode shrunk him or whatever. Like, it's consistent with a couple other scenes in Naruto as well. So this is just the size of Kurama. But then, like, again, he attacks the Leaf Village. And maybe he's a little bit small here, but like maybe it's like the normal size you'd imagine for Kurama. That's fine or whatever. But, and again, like Minato says, he shrunk when he seals half of it inside of him.
But then, like, other instances, Kurama is just the longest, largest thing in the world. It's unimaginable. Like, no wonder his tail swipes are causing tidal waves and causing earthquakes, etc., etc. The landslides or whatever.
Yeah, he's enormous. The shot of him whenever he first like comes out of Kushina is like he's gigantic.
Look at this shot.
Look at his tails
This
here,
is
though.
Kurama. Kurama's tails are unironically like 10 times longer than Kurama in this shot.
Yeah, no, it's insane.
Yeah, so I just thought the size was hilarious.
This is also like why I say like Kakashi's like the size that Kakashi is, relative to like Obito is like not a great metric to use because like Kishimoto is just generally.
Oh, they're gonna start on Jiraiya.
Stuff. Oh, did I say Jiraiya?
No. Don't get us started on Jiraiya. Do you know about Giant Jiraiya?
Got you. No, but I know he's supposed to be.
Would you like to
the
see Giant Jiraiya?
Third tallest. Yeah, let's look at it.
Okay, where is it, Kamui?
For some reason, I'm not able to see this right now.
Are you not able to see my screen? Kamui, are you able to see my screen right now?
I can see your screen. I'm trying to figure out where we put it. Is it in mistakes or?
I think it's in intro topics, but I'm trying to look. Cause I think we did show Daigo it, so it's definitely an intro topics. Yeah, I got it right here.
Okay,
yeah. So Sage, are you able to see my screen?
It's just like showing like a loading thing. Here, give me one second. Let me pop out.
Oh, weird.
Here. Okay. Now it should be good. He said he's gonna pop out and pop back in. Here, I'm glad
I invited him.
Okay.
Yeah, I can see it now. Cool.
Okay.
Oh my god, he's
Giant
enormous.
Here's
what the?
Yeah. Like Ibiki's pretty big too. But...
That's Ibiki. And Ibiki is like an inch shorter in the data book.
Oh my god,
that's hilarious.
Like Jiraiya is looking like Fukuki Suikatsu here, like with an 8-foot tall man.
Yeah, Hiruzen's literally the size of his like thigh.
He's like 106 miles tall.
Oh, that's insane.
And then another one. Where's the Sasuke Haku thing, Kamui? If you can find that for me really quick.
Oh, it's gonna be an intro topics.
Yeah, just trying to find it really quick. Since it's relevant to what we're talking about anyways with the mental amps. Oh, it's not the bottom. Kamui, help me find it, please.
I'm trying to look too.
We should just label these.
We have so many intro topics. Okay, I found it. Look for Kurutsuchi. It's above 809 2024, okay. Below the 1 through 20 list. You found it.
I got it. Okay, so Sage. So look where Sasuke is. He's running to get in front of Naruto to stop Haku, who's going to kill Naruto. That's what Sasuke's thinking. So remember where Sasuke is. Remember where Haku is. So this is this frame. In the very next frame.
In the next frame.
Oh, say okay. Okay, I got you, Sage. I got you.
Oh.
Let me add you back.
Oh shoot, he left again.
Oh, okay. There you go. Thank you for doing that.
So sorry about that. I had like I accepted the initial request to join, and then like it popped up again, and I hit accept, and it didn't go away. So I hit decline, and then it kicked me out of the thing.
Oh, like, that's funny. Yeah, because I sent it, and then Oodie did it. So.
Oh, that might be why. That's ridiculous. Okay, yeah, I got it right here. Okay, so you can still see my screen.
All right, let's.
Yeah. And did you hear everything I just said?
Yeah. He was going to say.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So this is this frame. Here's the very next frame. Oh well, it's very loady. So okay, yeah. Anyways, you can see the two frames. Difference in the before and after. Yeah. So look at how much.
So the amount, if you look at where the positions with the ice mirrors, Haku clearly moves more between the frames than Sasuke does.
Yeah.
So how mental amped was Sasuke to move as fast as he did, considering how slow he's moving mid-run compared to Haku, to get not to Naruto,
when he's already decided he's gonna protect Naruto,
but in front of Naruto. Not even to meet Haku, he gets in front of Naruto before Haku gets there by a pretty largeable amount.
And then by the trajectory, Haku's just going way over Naruto. It's gonna be like when Naruto jumps over Tayuya for Shikamaru's plan, where he just jumps. That's what Haku's doing here.
Oh, that's why, bro. He had to change his direction midair. That's why he didn't get there first.
But that's hilarious. But based on the fact that Haku's coming from this angle and Naruto's here, and Sasuke gets in front of Haku, that means Sasuke needs to be here, and Sasuke again gets here before Haku gets there, which means Sasuke needs to essentially teleport from where he is to in front of Naruto in an instantaneous movement before Haku can move any more at all.
A body.
Let's not forget the fact that Haku can like light speed move between mirrors.
So you know what's interesting about that? So he can move at light speed when traveling from one mirror to the next, is what the data book says.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
whenever
So the question
he's, like,
is he going to the next mirror?
yeah, exactly. Like it looks like he's going
With his
towards
trajectory, he
Naruto.
might be. He's not
Maybe,
going towards
yeah,
Naruto.
He's going to the bottom of one of the mirrors across from him. But yeah, that's like whenever because people will talk about like how like Haku can't be light speed. He got reacted to by Sasuke and Naruto. It's like, well, yes, he kind of gets reacted to by Sasuke's Sharingan after he already states that he's used a ton of chakra.
Yeah.
So he's like fatigued, but then like Naruto never actually reacts to him outside of when he's traveling from a mirror to him or from the ground to a mirror, never actually from one mirror to the next. But like, yeah, Haku's speed is weird, dude, because it's also like in the war arc, he travels from a mirror, but we don't know if he's going to another one. And like base Guy and Lee are able to intercept him and like kick him. It's like, okay, so if he's traveling between two mirrors there, base Guy and base Lee are like FTL. So it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, plus the fact that Haku doesn't want to kill him, plus the fact that arguable Sharingan precog, considering you can perceive things that you can't react to based on what we see with Lead afterwards. There's tons of stuff that make it fair.
Well, the other way you can interpret it is Haku can move at light speed between mirrors when he wants to. If he's just not doing it during this fight, the only time then that's fine. The only time he would most probably be doing it is when he needs to go protect Zabuza. Of course, he's gonna do it then because it's desperate measures.
Yeah. I agree with that. I also think like so whenever you look at like how cracked Sharingan precog is, I think look no further than the fight with Naruto and Sasuke at the end of part 1, because dude, like I think it's should be chapter like 232 or 228, somewhere in there. But essentially there's a panel like consistently the precog there's like a precog shadow that's drawn where you can like see what Sasuke's seeing, like the trajectory of an attack.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can't find the exact
and Sasuke fight
page.
of the first fight.
Yeah, it's at the very end of that. It's whenever he's still got his 2 tomo on. Okay, there we go. So if you go to chapter 231, you'll be able to see what I'm talking about here. So chapter 231,
back of my hand.
page.
The pages don't help me. I don't know how to get.
If you go to
numbers, but...
Oh, gotcha. Well, it's the 4th page. It's whenever you get the groar from Naruto and he like jumps at him. Slightly down. Go down. Right there. Okay. Yeah. So you see right there. You see like the shadow Naruto, and then so that's the precog, right? So scroll down.
That's crazier compared to the other one that he does.
It's insane. So that Naruto right there, shadow Naruto. Scroll down.
Yep.
Keep going. Shadow arm. Then the physical arm catches up. So what that means, scroll back up, is that Naruto that goes behind him, he precogs him going all the way around him, which means that he can see attacks that are directed behind him as long as like the initial movement starts in front of him. That's insane because you can see, dude, because you can see next to him like where the water is splashing up by his face in that left panel.
Yeah,
like he's reacting to Naruto flying past him, and then like the next page or the top of the next page, you can see that he's seeing the like Naruto like precog shadow.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
That's crazy. This
consistently
is
how
like
it's drawn.
something you don't get in the anime. Like you don't get this because I never even knew this was the thing in the manga like this. Like I know there's that one scene when like it's
Everyone
not
knows
the
that
One
one
Tail's
scene.
cloak, but it's the QBI Naruto
Yeah,
and
it's right over
Sasuke
here.
seeing the movements. That's in the anime. But like
Yeah.
this with the shadows, like
Yeah,
this
so you
one's in
see,
the
like,
anime.
It's consistent.
But the other one's
like
not.
that too. Yeah.
Yeah, like this
Dude,
one
it's
makes
crazy,
just
bro.
a lot more sense. Like he's saying the shadow Naruto's touching the real Naruto. That's a lot more making sense of
Yeah.
how precog should work anyways. This other one isn't even precog. This is just future sight. Like he should not
Dude,
be able to see it like
100%,
this.
bro. 100%. And so like the Sharingan and he precogs the water going around him. Like look at that. Naruto's not there yet. That is the precog shadow.
Oh yeah,
Like,
that is.
You see what I'm saying? That's insane.
You know what? No, this makes so much more sense for how this ability works. I'm glad you showed me that. Precog makes way more sense in the manga because Sasuke essentially sees like a shadow clone of Naruto moving towards him. He's reacting to that. That's not a real Naruto. It's just what Naruto's about to do.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
that just
exactly.
makes more sense for how this would work in practice. That's cool.
Yeah, well, and then like when you reverse engineer it and you look at like when he first evolves to the three Tomo Sharingan, which I think is like the chapter right before this.
Yeah.
Like you can see like the gap between where the precog shadow is and where the physical Naruto is like kind of thinner here, or like kind of a shorter distance, because like you see like his punch is already kind of starting to move forward there.
Yep.
Like he's got like maybe a one body distance there that he's able to predict. That he's able to like dodge the arm. It's at full extension. But then like the next chapter, he's seeing him appear behind him before he's even like gotten around him.
Faster and
It's
more unpredictable Naruto,
ridiculous.
by the way.
Yes.
Yeah, because I was gonna say like maybe you could argue this wouldn't make any sense though. This is easily debunkable. But what I was gonna say is you can maybe argue it's like a time thing. Let's just say he sees 1 second in advance. The faster Naruto is, the more he's gonna move, obviously. But then that completely contradicts the whole Rock Lee thing of well, if you can't keep up, yeah, if you could see that far ahead, that it don't matter. You're just gonna see more movement. So.
Well, this also supports the idea. So like I'm a big believer that Curse Mark 2, the CM2 state, doesn't actually like amp like physical speed. It only amps like the particular special abilities or like specialty that a character has. So like for Jirobo, he is stated to get 10 times stronger. For Sakon and Ukon,
His
they're
whole
stated to
thing
get
is strength, though.
exactly, yeah. And for Sakon and Ukon, they're stated to get 10 times more chakra. But if you look at their like data book profile on their CM2 states, Sakon and Ukon, it only talks about getting more chakra and then getting access to that like cellular degeneration thing. Tayuya's CM2 profile only talks about her genjutsu improving. Kidomaru's only talks about him having. Yeah, exactly. Kidomaru's only talks about him getting unmatched precision. And then what's interesting, like the most interesting one to me, is the Heaven and Earth seals, the one that obviously Sasuke and Kimimaro have, just straight up says that the effects are not directly evident. It's like, okay, well, if somebody's getting a blitz tier faster, it's gonna be directly evident, I would say. So he's probably getting like they're probably getting an amp to like whatever their abilities are. So for Kimimaro, his whole thing is like durability, right? And like the ability to use his bones. So like that can be something that he gets access to without it being directly evident. Sasuke's can be like his Sharingan abilities, his ninjutsu potency, his durability. Those are not directly evident. So it's really interesting, like because
it's
then
like you could say it's not a new, like for example with Sakon, he now can use a new ability. For like Kimimaro, he's not using a new ability per se. Yeah. It's just the ability's better than it was. You could just frame it that way.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and with like with this fight in particular, like literally right after these events, like Sasuke gets juggled a little bit, but like he's able to like react to everything Naruto's doing, aside from the chakra arms extending out, which I think are faster than the user anyway.
No, I love that. Yeah, he is reacting to Naruto. It's the unpredictable chakra hand that he comments on. Yeah, the chakra branching that gets him.
Yeah.
Because he can see Naruto.
And then he gets a little bit of space, and then he's like, I could read Naruto's movements, but his chakra acted alone.
Yep.
Blah blah blah. And then he like stays in base and kind of like boxes with him in base. And then he throws the ninjutsu at him. He kind of counters it. He's just fine. Chakra arm tags him again.
Yep.
And then he goes straight into CM1. And he says, the most I can do is dodge. So he's saying, like, he can dodge his attacks. But then he can't, like, earlier on in the fight, you could say this is a precog shadow as well, too, which would be so interesting. But you see the bubbles popping up on him, though, like, off of the arm. Mm-hmm. But earlier on in the fight, whenever he only had 2 Tomo, he was, like, able to react to Naruto, but like he couldn't block him because it should be before this. Should be the chapter right before this.
Really? It should be this one. Are you sure?
Yeah, because he's just now awakened.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, because he goes so he can react to him physically, but he gets pancaked because he can't handle his like physical strength. Yeah. So then you see that kind of paralleled with him in. Yeah, so then you see that paralleled with him in the 3 Tomo to the 1 Tail, is he can react to him. He just can't react to the chakra arms, and then because they're faster than the user and they're unpredictable. And then he can't really like do anything aside from dodge, which would imply that he can't block. But then, right after, so if you go back to the chapter that we were just on,
231.
One more chapter ahead. Yeah, 231. Like towards the end of this, so he gets hit again, gets knocked back. He's like, all I can do is dodge. And then keep going.
The most I can do is dodge. So
yeah,
dodging is like a rare thing almost. It's like, yeah, he's usually not dodging is what this implies.
So then,
I mean that's what we're seeing too.
Yeah. So, but he's able to like visually react to what Naruto's doing aside from the chakra arms. Like physically, he's not having a problem reacting to it. He's just getting juggled. He can't block. Like the chakra arms are beating him up. So then he goes into CM2. Now, what's really interesting about this is you would assume that him going into CM2 would give him some like major boost that would then overcome whatever he was just facing, right?
This is honestly one of
and
the
all
most
he can do is block
the entire series. We never got a fight between these 2 forms. We should have got it here. It's the
hold
most
on. Scroll back up to the top.
Yeah.
Scroll back up to the top. This is insane. So right after he opens CM2, Naruto like charges at him, right? And all he does is block it. So the difference here is just like he gets like this like physical durability or strength amp that allows for him to like now instead of only being able to dodge, now he can block Naruto. But then like when you continue on in this, they then show physical relativity, which is what we were already seeing. Like Sasuke is already in terms of like speed, physical speed versus physical speed, he's already kind of like competing with Naruto. The problem is the chakra arms are probably faster than Naruto is, so he can't really do anything about those. The precog for whatever reason doesn't work with those. And then when he does get hit, like he's just getting beat up. But then like they do the clash like right after this. And they obviously travel at similar speeds like with the clash. Now you could say with the Chidori that he should get an amp, but he's not running, so I would say probably not. But yeah, they show physical relativity there with his like flying and Naruto's jumping.
Well, you could argue
so,
that
like,
he's flying, whereas Naruto's just jumped.
Yeah. But it's like, do we think that his flight is faster than his like running speed? Like probably not, because then like in the fight with Deidara, like Deidara comments on his speed twice, but then he never comments on his flight speed. You know? So it's like he might even be slower flying, but
well, actually, so I was just checking the manga. I'm not seeing it in the manga, but in the anime, I could just be remembering wrong. I think Gaara or Lee or Kimimaro say that Kimimaro actually gets slower in the second state because he's heavier or whatever. Not seemingly in the manga here, but I think in the anime that might just be a thing.
Okay. Interesting.
Dude, I don't know.
Which we obviously, like, for Kimimaro, completely contradict the faster thing, but he's also got the best curse mark, tied best curse mark. So if even he doesn't necessarily get faster, that doesn't necessarily mean everyone would.
I think that's fine because it's not really about speed. The speedsters in Naruto aren't like the end all be all. Hashirama's not even a speedster himself. Like it is just about whoever wins in a fight. Generally, is who's more powerful considered in Naruto. So the fact that Kimimaro has the heavy tail that bashes through Gaara's hand, and Lee says would have killed him if it didn't go through Gaara's hand. He's stronger in Curse Mark Stage 2.
I want to say the Kimimaro fight.
Well, obviously.
It's like 2:15 is when Gaara arrives. Yeah, so 2:15 is when the sand siblings arrive.
I think that Kimimaro's Curse Mark Stage 2 is similar to Hashirama's Sage Mode, to where they're not necessarily activating it to amp their bodies. They get an amp, but they're really more so activating it because they want to use the abilities that are exclusive to those forms.
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree. I also, like, I think Hashirama is, like, fast. Like, I don't think he's, like, faster than Minato or Tobirama or anything, but, like, I think he's fast. What's really fast about Hashirama though is his wood style. His wood style is faster.
I completely agree. No, his wood style is really fast.
Yeah, like by a decent margin too. Like it might be faster, unironically, than like Tobirama's base combat speed.
I agree.
Because we see, which I mean, like it sounds like a crazy statement, but like if in the Jubito fight, so whenever in the same amount of time it takes for Tobirama to make the ram hand sign whenever he detonates the tandem paper bombs, Hashirama's wood clone is able to like create this like wood arm thing that like reaches out and wraps Jubito in it. It's absolutely insane.
I have no idea what chapter this would be,
but try 639. Oh, hell yeah.
Let's go.
Perfect pull.
Yeah, just like slow scrolling.
So you see like, it should just be the second page, right? So the second page, the detonation speed of the bombs is like slower or like the same kind of speed as Hashirama's wood clones wood jutsu.
Yeah. That's crazy. That's
like that's insane.
Oh, I love that. That's freaking hilarious. Oh my god. Yeah. No, like the wood style really
and like
is
this is also something where like
it's meant for sealing, but it's also meant for binding. Like exactly how Edo Hashirama used it against Hiruzen in the fight with Orochimaru. He just used it to like restrain his ankles and wrists and stuff. Yeah, just makes him unable to move. Same with Madara restraining KCM2 Naruto, but then Naruto just flexed out of it. Like that is sort of the point, regardless of it being a tailed beast. How it's supposed to be used.
Yeah. Well, what's crazy about Hashirama's wood style speed being that fast is we know that like Kurama is somewhat relative to his wood style, like both his wood dragons and the wood golem. Like we see him react to and like deal with the wood dragons, but then it's just like stated that he fought evenly with the wood golem. So it's like he has relativity to Hashirama's wood style, which should be faster than himself, which is corroborated by the fact that Hashirama's wood style is also relative to Madara's Susanoo, with the Susanoo being faster than the user. So if Kurama, full power Kurama, is relative to like the Susanoo and Hashirama's wood style, that just means that he's physically superior to Hashirama and Madara because they're slower than their respective like wood style and Susanoo. And I just showed you an example of a Minato like blitzing Kurama twice with body flicker. So like Minato unironically, it's like Minato above Kurama relative to the Susanoo and Hashirama's wood style, above Hashirama and Madara themselves.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of a crazy chain scale. I'm not gonna lie.
Kamui, thoughts?
I didn't come up with it. My boy Gamabunta Glazer came up with that.
Of course, Oodie was talking with the Gamabunta Glazers the other.
That's my guy.
Shout out Gamabunta. That was dumb. That was hilarious. I love it. So good.
He'll be like, Sage, it's got scaling for ya.
Yeah, I was also showing. We can end on this. I was also showing him the Monkey King Enma staff form. He's as hard as adamant. Monkey King Enma is the adamantium chains. You'll love to see it.
No, it's crazy. Well, and like whenever you look up like this like adamantine or whatever, it's like in Japanese lore, it's like a mythological metal that's supposed to be like the toughest substance in existence. So it's like this guy, what's crazy about that is that's like supposed to be narratively if you like pay attention to the fact that like Kishimoto uses like Shinto lore and like Buddhist lore and things like that, like mixed in throughout his series, with like this sort of like Japanese philosophy, like mythological metal, that is just supposed to represent the hardest thing in the universe. And he's like able to be like bruised or like somewhat like harmed by the sword of
By the grass longsword, the Kusanagi blade.
And the Kusanagi blade can't pierce like Naruto's level 2 cloak, but meanwhile Kakashi's able to slice through level 2 cloaks like butter with the lightning cable. So it's like, what happens what happens if like like Warlord Kakashi versus Hiruzen, right? Hiruzen summons Enma and Kakashi uses
Slice him in half.
Just like slices him in half in that form. Does he just like shapeshift back and he's just cut in half? Or like what happens, dude? Oh man, it's so bad.
Yeah, well, that goes against my
I think that's one of those
argument.
things to where you either have to say retcon of the Kusanagi blade or Orochimaru just wasn't using the same Kusanagi blade. He was like I know in the English dub of the anime, he says my snake sword. I don't think Kusanagi blade translates to snake sword. It would be like heavy or something, not Kusanagi. So it's possible that he's just using a different sword for whatever reason.
I know that Sasuke has a different sword from part 1 or from like beginning of part 2 to the end of part 2. He gets a different and he calls it a Kusanagi blade as well. So like a Kusanagi blade is just a variant of a blade, like a type of sword. So I mean, like it's very
the Tosca blade's apparently a variation of the Kusanagi blade too.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So I think like that's incredibly possible. But I also like for me, the way that I interpret it is like, okay, so Enma can be made like in the adamantine staff form, can be made of like the strongest material in like the Naruto world, but all that would mean is that like the strongest material in the Naruto world can like be pierced by certain things or like cut by certain things, which just means that nothing is like unpierceable. And I wouldn't even necessarily call like the Susanoo like a material. So like chakra constructs may just like be non-applicable to that, sort of definition that's used. But then I would also say like what people will be like, well, why can't Kurama like break out of the adamantine chains then if like it's that kind of weak? Well, first of all, I mean, he's able to push him out of the village. So it's like he's tough enough to do that. But then second, like the adamantine chains have like this chakra suppression property too. So it is interesting. It's like, okay, if this is the toughest like material in the Naruto world, like physical material, it just like kind of goes to show that like ninjutsu goes so far beyond what like the physical world can even produce. So yeah, it's kind of an interesting concept, but
you could argue
you could just say it's hyperbolic.
Actually, in the manga, he says my Kusanagi blade, so I guess that just is his Kusanagi sword.
It's not the sharpness of the lightning, but the elemental addition of the lightning that, I don't know, physics that are beyond my comprehension does something. But that's my guess. Considering lightning isn't
separates
even the cutting
atoms.
Elemental, it's wind. So lightning's got to be doing something else.
Well,
would
that's why it's
imagine-
goofy that lightning does make things cut better. It should be
No,
a wind style thing.
I also think that I also think that like lightning chakra in general should just have like a paralytic effect. Because like something that's interesting. So I've gotten the Raikiri thing, the Raikiri data book translated a few times, and
it's more
it
refined
comes out
than the Chidori.
it comes out interestingly, like because there are some translations that will say that it paralyzes the opponent, and then some that won't. So I don't ever use it, but like there does seem to be like with the Raikiri potentially it paralyzes the opponent. With Kakashi's lightning clone, it's just stated to paralyze the opponent. We know that like Sasuke running lightning chakra through his blade was able to like paralyze Yamato briefly. So yeah, like I think it's cool. Like they all sort of have a different property, but it is weird that like lightning increases piercing power or like even slicing power to that degree when that's not really what lightning chakra is kind of implied to do, you know, but I don't know.
Trust me,
I think
we've already
it's the same
Yeah,
thing like
like-
with
ad nauseum.
yeah, it's the same thing with like yeah, it's the same thing with like fucking the third Raikage being like, I'm a lightning style user. Use earth style. And it's like, what?
Then for some reason
that's
his
the
lightning
opposite of
style
what you wanna do.
increases the Raikage's vitality somehow.
Yeah. Charging.
I mean,
his
I
cells,
will say when it comes to the cutting of the lightning thing, if I had to guess, so obviously in part 1, wind style, like yeah, it exists, but it's not the cutting element, it's just blowing wind. So in
Yeah.
part 1, when Kishimoto creates the Chidori, he created with the idea that it's a lightning blade, it cuts really well, blah blah blah. Because he had already established that he wasn't just gonna remove that, he decided to apply it to other lightning style things. But then he had to give wind style something useful besides blow you away like Tamari. So
Tamari's
he
wind
gave him the
does
cutting
cut in part
thing.
1. Just to clarify.
I guess, well,
More than just
I guess it cuts you a little bit, yeah.
I should get that translated to
I guess,
see if he
yeah, I guess it
says,
cuts down the
like-
trees against Tayuya too, but
Well, because if it says
he
something
had already
more akin
created
to,
the
like,
Chidori though
slashing-
before all this.
Yeah, if it says something more akin to like slashing, then that still like might be consistent. Because then like because the reason why the Chidori and Raikiri are so good at piercing is because of like the shape transformation, like just focused into a point, which is also like why the what you call it, uh the Hell Spear like works that same way because it's like a focused point, you know. But yeah, I need to get that translated to see if like maybe it says because it says that the like wind style has the highest offensive potential because of its ability to like cut or like rend.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we
Kinda
see that
crazy.
with like Asuma with his chakra blades, but what I'm wondering though is hypothetically, never mind wind style Rasen Shuriken, it's Kakashi. He knows wind style too. He has all 5
Yeah.
natures. What if Kakashi tried to make a wind style Chidori, the same concept, but rather than a lightning blade, it's a wind blade, kind of like Baki's wind sword that he kills Hayate with, but it's like Chidori, but with wind. Wait, would it just be better at the job?
That's why I'm like maybe it's like specifically like slashing as opposed to piercing. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, yeah, that wouldn't make any sense for lightning to do that and not wind. But if I'm trying to think of any situation where we've seen wind style used effectively and it's not like a slashing motion, like I don't think we have any like piercing.
Well, there's
wind style
one
attacks.
scene in particular. It's when Naruto asks Asuma for training tips, and Asuma pierces through a tree and a rock with his wind style throw
True.
blade thing. That was a pierce. Very destructive, obviously, but it was piercing through it.
It's so weird, bro.
I love translations that use specific kanji like slashing. Like, I don't know if you've seen, Six used one of my old translations for like 2018. The like Kaguya creating her dimension is using the kanji for like spindling. And so my argument since then has always been Kaguya is thread level.
Thread level is crazy. Well, you know what's funny about that? I also the first conversation he and I had was I had like a little back and forth with King Lion, and so I had to send that to him, of course, because King Lion like misrepresented my argument and stuff. But I was talking about I got King Lion to admit that to like accept the claim that the expansive True Seeker orb was like gonna destroy a dimension with a star in it, and then that the expansive True Seeker orb isn't even her strongest attack because the vacuum palm is stated to have the potential to be her strongest offensive weapon, or offensive ability. And so it's like, okay, so if the expansive True Seeker orb can like destroy a star plus level dimension, and this is just stated stronger, then it should be star level plus. And then Naruto like somewhat matches that vacuum palm barrage, and then like gets hit by one of them and tanks it. But like I was going back and forth with King Lion, and he never replied after that one. But I sent it to Six, and he goes, "That's a funny argument. The expansive True Seeker orb, like being weaker than the vacuum palm." Then he mentions it in his video today. I was like, "You motherfucker!" But nah, it was cool. It's
obviously makes
it's always dope whenever you get to like bring that up, like bring something up to somebody that is like respected in the space. It's pretty cool.
I don't remember the exact.
Yeah,
argument.
my first conversation with Six was about Momoshiki versus Delta. He was talking to someone in the cloud about it, and then Six went to privately talk to me.
Oh my god!
So we talked for like an hour about Momoshiki versus Delta.
I don't remember.
It was so random. I was like, "Wait, what?"
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Call of Duty was my first. Anyways, the obvious thing there would be, I think that you would just argue that expansive Truth Seeker Orb isn't a part of her arsenal. That was more like an unstable thing rather than a weapon, quote unquote. It would just be distinct or separate in its own category. Sort of like how Naruto can't just pull the 9 tails out of the bag in part 1 whenever he wants.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my counter to that would be something along the lines of like, well, we know that she has more chakra than everyone on the planet combined, and she didn't even fully drain everybody on the planet to create that, so she should be able to create that without that chakra.
You could also make the argument.
I mean, to be honest, though, the reason she even drained the chakra wasn't to create that. It was to put her back into her normal body state because she was 10 tailsified.
Exactly. Well, that's what I was saying with the unstable thing.
So she should have plenty of chakra to pull that off, like without absorbing the chakra of anybody else. Like in her normal state, that shouldn't even be a problem for her.
Yeah, I would probably make the argument that expanding the Truth Seeker Orb doesn't drain her of chakra. It just is a Truth Seeker Orb that she somehow gave the property to expand, and it just does infinitely.
She's using Choji's expansion jutsu on it.
No, but I think like it just doesn't make sense for her to be able to infinitely expand it because she doesn't have infinite chakra. So it's like not literally infinitely, but like it should take way, way, way more chakra than anything she could ever possibly have, even though she has ridiculous amounts of chakra.
Yeah, I think that she's definitely like, well, because another thing too is he was like, wait, so if you think that Naruto was able to tank the like vacuum palm, you think he'd be able to tank the explosion from the expansive True Seeker Orb? And I was like, why was it gonna explode? He was like, how do you think it was gonna destroy the dimension? I was like, I think it was gonna expand into it and like destroy everything it came in contact
Exactly,
with.
I agree. And we see what happens
It's called the
so that's the
yeah. I was like, it's called the expansive True Seeker Orb.
Yeah,
like, what do you mean?
No, I didn't even hear the explosion argument until tonight. I just didn't even know that was an interpretation.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, I didn't even know that was something that people thought. But then he was like, "Hold up, I'm making a video on that. Keep that on the low for now." And then he like put it in this video. And this is, dude, like this is like 4 months ago, 5 months ago maybe. So I was like, okay, so he's just been working on this for a fat minute, I guess. But it was kind of funny. He's a cool dude, man. Okay, well, all right, dudes. Well, it is 3 a.m. here, and I feel like we've gotten a lot of good conversation in. So, yeah, I'm gonna hop off here. So it's been good being on here, dude. But yeah, thank you guys for having me.
Glad to have you. Oh, real quick. Okay, yes or no? Can Minato kill Hashirama with one Rasengan?
Probably not. I think, well, if he hits him in the head, yes.
Let's go! I'll take it. That's all I need.
We never
Alright, bro.
discussed whether or not what would happen if he hits him in the head, to be fair. So it's up in the air.
Oh, if he hits him in the back,
All right,
it's
brother.
our
You guys
fault.
have a go at it.
Yeah. Thank you for coming
See
on.
ya.
This has been Sage of Thick
See-
Cabs. Cowboy, I feel like that's a pretty strong place to end. I'll be honest, I had like 10 points on the Naruto Genius thing. We didn't finish the first point. So we did need the formal debate structure for that one. But we can do that another time. I don't want to do that now. I got a freaking headache.
I
I
would
feel
say,
like
yeah,
this
we
is-
could just try it. Like I said, just try it on any random thing. It doesn't
Yeah.
have to be 2 minutes, whether you want to extend it to 5 because we're doing all the cough and stuff.
Yeah.
The point is to try this style and see how it goes.
I feel like that's a strong ending if we want to end it here instead of going into whatever else. Because there's a couple other things we could have talked about that we didn't, but that's okay. We can talk about it next time.
Either way works for me.
Okay, perfect. Sauron, do our outro. He hates me right now, but that's okay. Sauron? Sauron? Hey, Sauron, do our... Oh, he's deafened. Okay, well that's not helpful. Sauron, do our outro.
I hope y'all enjoyed the stream. Now go home.
What if they are home?
The storm has officially started in my area.